Thank you for being here today in Nice, and welcome to this forum. And really, many thanks to all of you, and especially those of you who come from very far. And this is really an international forum. It's not a French forum, and this is an international forum, and you are the proof of that. So many thanks for that. And I will try to be the timekeeper and try to provide the transitions from a session to another. And not to be long, I will ask Nathalie Drachteman, the president of Sorbonne University, and Yannick Briswater, president of the University of Côte d'Azur, to introduce the forum and welcome you as they know and as they are used to. Nathalie, Yannick, please. I leave you the floor.
Je te regarde, c'est parce que je te regardais, je ne te trouvais pas. Dear President of the University Côte d'Azur, dear Yannick, dear University President and Vice Presidents, ladies and gentlemen, in your respective title and positions, dear colleagues. I'm very happy to be here with you in this first International Forum of Marine Universities. Thank you, dear Christophe Prazuk. Okay. Thank you, Christophe, for organizing an event that enables to reaffirm the place of universities at the heart of this crucial issue, ocean protection. French universities have long been involved in marine science. Sorbonne University has been engaged for over 150 years, thanks to biology Henri de la Caisse-Dutier, founder at the Marine Research Station of Roscoff and Banyuls. Since then, a unique scientific heritage has emerged. Our interdisciplinary strengths in marine science are combined in our Ocean Institute. Our ecosystem makes Sorbonne University the third largest marine university in the world. Today, we are facing global disturbances that are transforming our oceans. Our scientific community actively contributes to national and international research in marine and climate science. This is proof that universities, as stakeholders in their territories, are both observatory and experimental laboratories. Our mobilization for One Ocean Science Congress on the UNOC is a prime example of these roles. Our institutions train scientists who will discover these answers to tomorrow's challenges. It is in our institutions that the younger generations will be trained and called upon to work for a sustainable maritime future. There are many challenges ahead, but they're worth it. Congratulations to the ECUP insiders, 9 young researchers from around the world, who report on social media in their native language about the scientific and political issues of the One Ocean Science Congress. Universities also support communities, as shown when our scientists participate in negotiation for the United Nations Environment Programme. We contribute to train public decision makers by offering an executive education program on ocean issues. In short, we are active players in science diplomacy. We also support citizens, including young people, with a science village currently taking place in Villefranche, near Nice, alongside UNOC. From Paris and Brest, Pascal, and Brest to Marseille, from Nice and La Rochelle to Tahiti, United is a network of marine universities. We combine scientific excellence, local roots, and international influence. But today, national responses are not enough anymore. Because the ocean is changing faster and deeper than ever. It raises environmental, geopolitical, and economical challenges that require collective response that transcends borders. Taking part in this first international forum today is an opportunity to reaffirm the values we cherish in a world where academic freedom is no longer an evidence. To take care of the changing oceans, we need strong, shared science that is open to society. This science cannot exist without universities that are fully recognized for their role as guardians, facilitators, and pioneers. The international cooperation we support, especially through students and professor mobilities, and thanks to our partners in research organizations, carry a global dialogue crucial to the protection of the ocean. Our agreements with Abu Dhabi, Nathalie, the chair of SUAD, Laval et Québec, Eugénie, I don't know where, the University of Laval, are a first step towards a broader structure. Today, let us hope that the foundation of this international network will contribute to generate influence for the protection of the oceans. Our responsibility is to work towards a sustainable world. Let us ensure that this network provides input to public decision makers so that they can take informed action for the benefit of all. Let it become a new building block in our edifice, reinforcing our commitment to a more resilient society. Let us put universities back at the center of the archipelago, because it's here at the intersection of knowledge, territories, and generations that a decisive part of our marine future and the future of humanity is being played out. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nathalie. Dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in Nice. A special welcome to our friends from University Laval and from the University of Costa Rica, who are very important international partners of Université Côte d'Azur. Very pleased to welcome you in this very beautiful place called Centre Universitaire Méditerranéen, but which doesn't belongs to the university, but we are here today for this. I'm very glad and very happy to open this first forum with Nathalie Temam, the president of Université Côte d'Azur. And this forum is just after the One Ocean Congress and just before the Ocean Conference that begins on Monday. Today marks also a significant milestone for the global community, united in its commitments to protect our oceans. Oceans, you know that, covers more than 70% of our planet and sustains countless ecosystems and are facing today unprecedented challenges, from climate change and biodiversity loss to pollution, overfishing, and the threats are very complex, urgent, and borderless. In that context, the role of our universities becomes not only relevant, but vital. The role of universities in ocean protection is not only a commitment, it is a responsibility. Universities, our universities, we have a moral responsibility as a place where knowledge and skills are developed and where each generation is provided with a rigorous and relevant education. Universities have also an ethical responsibility as researchers who are aware of risk and their consequences, but also as scientists who know and developed evidence-based solutions, or at least solutions for adaptation and mitigation. Universities have also scientific responsibilities as scholars who first can tackle the complexity and the transdisciplinary requirement associated with the ocean biodiversity and resource crisis, but we can also reinvent concepts, reinvent tools, and beyond a more disciplinary approach. This responsibility goes beyond a strategic vision or a brand identity on sustainable development goals, but concretely irrigate all the activities carried out by the universities. Our universities, our marine universities, we are not only center of research and education. Natalie told that about a little bit before, but we promote innovation, platforms for dialogue, bridge between nations. This is a place where science meets society, where knowledge is not only produced, but shared and applied. Today, more than ever, with this new forum, we recognize and we reinforce the role of scientific diplomacy. University, through international collaboration, joint research programs, student and faculty exchange, global scientific network, we are the main actors of this form of diplomacy. We can foster trust, dialogue, evidence-based cooperation between nations. We can also enable us to transcend political boundaries in favor of a shared vision, a healthy, resilient, and sustainable ocean. This forum, therefore, represents our common will to act, to learn from one each other, and to build lasting partnership. It is an opportunity to align our academic mission with the needs of the planet and to ensure that our science will serve not only knowledge, but also peace and sustainability. Let us make this forum the beginning of a long-term alliance between universities, between nations, and between generations, united by our responsibility to the ocean and to the future. Thank you. I wish you a very inspiring forum.
Thank you, Nathalie, and thank you, Yannick, for these very strong words. And this is a very good welcome and introduction to our day. So we will have 3 roundtables as a program, you know, of this half-day forum. So I will not be very long. What I will just tell again is a place of the forum just after the One Ocean Science Congress and just before the UNOC conference. So this is a very strong place to go into the transformation from science into action. So you are the main actor of that. We want to be very dynamic today, so what I will try to do is to be a timekeeper. So Frédéric Schluss, where are you, Frédéric? Yeah. So you can please come and gather the panelists. And please, for all moderators, try saving some time for a few questions from the audience. This is very important that we can iterate between the panelists and the audience, and that will be what will make this forum very rich. Frédéric, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be there for this first roundtable, the challenges and opportunities of interdisciplinarity in ocean studies. So allow me to introduce all the panelists. Please come there. Julia Wiman, Emma Rock, Daya Liu, Philippe Archambault, and Sam Dupont. Please sit. So, for this roundtable, there are 3 elements. First, I present you, of course, all the panelists. After they answer to a few questions, and after they can take each the floor for 2 minutes to project their things about future, and we keep I hope 5 minutes for questions from the floor. First, Julia Wiman, Director, Marine Affairs Institute at Roger Williams University School of Law, Director of the Rhode Island Sea Grant Legal Program, USA. Emma Rock, Research Fellow, University of Cape Town, South Africa. Daya Liu, I think it's okay, no. Full Professor, School of Public Administration, Renmin University of China. Lead Contact Global 2060 under the ONCE program, UNEDIGATE of Ocean. Academic leader and former executive director, Kay Laboratory of Coastal Science and Integrated Management, Ministry of Natural Resources, China. Philippe Archambault, Professor, Director of the International Research Laboratory, Takovik, Scientific Director, Arctic-NEC in Disciplinary in Ocean Studies, Laval University, Canada, and Sam Dupont, Professor, Vice-Director of the Kristineberg Marine Research Station, Göteborg Universitet, Sweden. I am Frederic Schluss, Professor, Executive Vice President, Research Expertise Education at the National Museum of Natural History. I'm going to ask for my colleague a few questions. So the first question is, how can university better integrate interdisciplinarity from natural, social, technological, and economical sciences approaches into oceans science programs? Perhaps, Philippe, you can begin.
Thank you very much for this introduction. Good morning, everyone. First of all, we're quite lucky in oceanography because by nature, oceanography looks like interdisciplinary. But in fact, and I'm sure then none of you brought some social scientists on your research vessel. So I think the reality, we still have some natural and technological on one side, social and economical on the other side. So we need to figure out a way to bring all these two together. So first, I think it's by training. I know there's another panel on training, but I will give you an example because I think through training, it's really we need to change the next generation to think more in a mindset of interdisciplinary. And not only to have one course here or another course there, so we need to go into real life and experience it. That's the only way. So just recently, during the last autumn, we created an international, I would say summer school or university school where we brought 20 students from 7 different countries, 7 researchers, different disciplines, all together on land. So with the Inuit community, we brought them in the Canadian Arctic, more specifically in Nunavik, north of Quebec. And also we include the indigenous, the Inuit there. So 20 students, 7 researchers, 7 different countries, different discipline, 1 week on land, and 12 days on a icebreaker research vessel. And the question to select the student was all about blue economy, which is a major challenge. And we asked the student, what is the challenge of blue economy? And I'm sure if I say blue economy, everyone here in the room got money in head or financial aspect. But as soon as we got the first week with all the leader of the indigenous group, they never talk about money. They just talk about food security, food quality, because they say, yeah, when you come with your tourist ship, so we want to know if I can still eat my fish, all these. So the students were fully involved in a different aspect and totally interdisciplinary, and everyone shared their mind. Mine also, because I put a dollar sign when I talk about blue economy, but in this case, what about the quality of the food? So I think that's the kind of way that we can bring all this together. So if we want to be really interdisciplinary, we need time, openness, and a common language, because blue economy doesn't mean in this case the same thing. It is the same thing with interdisciplinary. I'm sure we all have a different definition, and yesterday I saw a post in the same paragraph, people were using interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary in a synonym way, which is not the case. So really, I love this forum because I think that's the first major step to bring all this interdisciplinary together.
Thank you very much, Philippe. To be short, it's difficult, I know, but we are obliged. Daya Liu, if you want to answer to this question shortly, I think. Thank you.
Bonjour à tous à tous. My name is Dahai Liu. In Chinese, it means big ocean. That's my name. I think that's why that's my job. Also my job. Okay. Before stepping into the main point, I would like to highlight the importance of interdisciplinary education given the increasing pressure posed by climate change and rising sea levels. I think it's not just beneficial, it's absolutely necessary because students need to build a deep understanding of the ocean, along with a real sense of mission and urgency. But how exactly can this be achieved? Several universities in China have already taken meaningful steps in this direction. For example, Professor Nian Zhijiao offers an online course at Xiamen University and at Renmin University in Beijing. I teach cross-field courses open to students from all backgrounds. One of my courses focuses on marine spatial planning, ocean development, and climate change. From my experience, I think the real key is you set up and introduce the topic. I used to lead both Chinese projects and the UN Ocean Decade project. In my review, marine spatial planning is one of the most practical and powerful ways to bring different fields together. When we link it into big picture issues like sustainable development and the UN SDGs, it naturally attracts students from all kinds of academic backgrounds. Also, blue carbon and the marine economy are strong examples. They are often seen as potential pathways to achieve carbon neutrality and support a sustainable blue economy. But for now, most of the work is still at the discussion stage. Turning these visions into practical tools could go a long way in strengthening ocean science education. Sea level rise is a major interdisciplinary challenge. We published a paper on this in Science this April, and it was later highlighted by the UN Ocean Decade. In this article, we pointed out the critical global need for coordinated research across disciplines. Thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much, Daya. As if some of you have something to add very short, but I can ask you the second question. I think it's a very important question, like the other, of course, but what structural changes are needed in international ocean science to ensure global South institutions are able to lead transdisciplinary collaborations? Perhaps, Julia, you can answer, or, excuse me.
Well, thank you for having me here today. So I work at Roger Williams University School of Law, so a law school, and we also have a marine affairs program with the University of Rhode Island. And I think that some of the structural changes that we do need to see with ocean science to ensure that the global South institutions are able to lead some of this interdisciplinary collaboration it's very structural, and we need a commitment of universities and funders to support the development of long-term institutional strengthening. And this really includes having more equitable funding opportunities. So a lot of our funding opportunities do originate in the global north and are controlled by northern universities. And I think by allowing southern universities to engage in the planning of some of these funding opportunities and sort of on the ground level can give them more opportunity to allow the important issues facing them to be integrated. And we also need to provide them with systems to help them support things like large grants that come to their university. Instead of being like a subcontractor, we need to enable them to actually receive some of these larger fundings. And I think, too, we need to focus a little bit on brain drain. I think we see a lot of folks that are in the Global South getting trained and then moving to the North and participating at larger universities where they get more opportunity. But we want to be able to see them stay where they're coming from and incorporate some of that traditional knowledge in their areas.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Someone? Yes, thank you, Julia.
Thank you, Julia, for that introduction. I think that leads very well into where. So I am based in the Global South. I work at UCT at a truly inter and transdisciplinary institute, the Marine and Antarctic Research Center for Innovation and Sustainability. It's a fairly new institute, but I can speak exactly to Julia's points. We, thanks to the Galway and Bellum statements, we do have these Horizon 2020 projects that we've been able to be a part of, which we're thankful for. But we do run into these problems as far as funding, as far as leading. Up until now, the Global South very much have been considered, data collectors rather than agenda setters, and we'd really like to change that. But I would like to, I think, describe or introduce some of the things that we're trying to do on our side to help lead and start to be more of a leader in that space. So we are in the Global South, and we do have cruises that go to Antarctica once a year. Now in South Africa, there's not a lot of snow. So if you put local South Africans on an icebreaker and take them straight to, you can imagine the sort of just real struggles that one has when you get to an iceberg, and when no one has even seen snow before. And so we're creating this Polar Training Institute, whereby we're training local scientists who genuinely are interested in this area to become familiar with this type of environment. So when they get on this boat and they get to Antarctica, they can hit the ground running, rather than, it does take an adjustment before they're really able to get their feet on the ground at the moment. So this is something that we're trying to build up. But being able to have direct access to funding so that we can build and train, and I think there's a lot of expertise from the North that we can draw from. And I think, reciprocal, understanding, being able to sit in a meeting and being able to reciprocally understand that we have struggles, we also have expertise in the South that you don't have in the North. And being able to have those conversations be truly valuable to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Somebody, perhaps Sam?
Yeah, I can make a quick comment. Thank you so much. I think setting up the agenda is the most important part of all you said, because I can see, I've been part of this big capacity building program where basically people send equipment and a little bit of training and hope for the best, and nothing is really happening. And it should really focus on the big issues we have now, and the Global South is taking advantage of still, not beyond collecting data. For example, now we have this marine carbon dioxide removal, and it's a target because it's easier sometimes to implement this. So having locals defining what the science needs are beyond just collecting data, more driving the change is really critical, and local knowledge is, of course, the most important part. Yep.
Thanks very much. I stress you with the time, but we are perfectly in time, so be okay. For the third questions, Sam, you can keep the microphone. How can marine stations or emerging technologies like AI, DNA, marine robotics, etc., could improve interdisciplinary collaboration? It's a very large question, but...
And I'm going to actually turn around it a little bit, I think, because I think marine infrastructures and new technologies are just tools at the end of the day. And tools don't achieve anything if you don't have a good question. So, and you also have to be careful a little bit with the law of instruments. Like if you give a kid a hammer, everything is a nail. So if you're really good at something, you tend to want to apply it to everything. And I don't think that's what we should do. I think if we turn the question upside down, it's like, why is interdisciplinarity so complicated? And I think for me, there are two issues. One is it's been forced. So there's been some funds and so on. It's okay, you need to work with multiple disciplines, and you create strange alliances that are not natural, and then they don't really work. I think because it's imbalanced. Most of the time we have natural scientists really strong, a little bit of social science because we have to. And there's this poor understanding of what the needs of the other disciplines are. I think that was my experience. And then there is a lack of, okay, I need a social scientist, but I don't understand that social scientist is a researcher and need to publish paper and need to get money. So just giving them peanuts is not working. We can also see that in communication. So we realize, okay, we need to get out with the issues we have today. We have to get out of the lab and communicate, but it's very naive most of the time. It's coming, okay, you have this science supply paradigm. I'm going to create science, drop it there, and change will happen. If it was true, climate change would be fixed by now. We have the IPCC report, 10,000 pages, and it's not moving really fast in the right direction. So my suggestion is like, it's not necessarily about the tools. The tools are opportunities. It's more about finding the right question. And that's what I was mentioning with the Global South, but it's also true everywhere. We need to define the right question. If you have the right question, okay, I want to drive a societal change, this is the data that is missing to actually drive this. And these are the key actors that we need to have. And for example, I'm working in a marine station. That's a beautiful place to actually gather people from all these disciplines and try to work together and then really make a real plan. Basically the dream of the UN decade, like the science we need for the ocean we want. And I think it's still not working really well, but that's basically where we should aim at. And I think infrastructure and tools are just tools, basically in that way. At the University of Gothenburg, we try to prepare the next generation for that by we have this Sea and Society Master Program where they all have to work across two disciplines. So when they do their master program, they do have to do social science and natural science, whatever their background. But we don't have the luxury of time. So I think it's great, but everybody should work into that direction and make the effort of understanding the other cultures and the needs of the other people.
Yes, perhaps I can add something. And about modelization or narratives and so on, this kind of tools. Do you have something to add about that?
I mean, yes, I think that's super important, of course. I think we need to be able to communicate efficiently to a wide range of different audiences, and that stories and models can be really good tools for that. Again, when it comes to communication, you need to identify what is the drive I want to change. I want this to happen. So who is the audience I need to talk to? And then you adapt the methods to the right audience. If you talk to a policymaker, if you talk to a citizen, if you talk to a scientist, if you talk to a kid, that's completely different ball games. And stories, of course, and emotional connection is the key, really, for all the audiences.
Thank you very much. Someone want to add something, or no? Yes, Philippe.
Just quickly, I think you brought a right point when you directly involved, and you mentioned a research station, and I can give an example where Laval University built a new research station in the north, inside of a Inuit community, and the people are there, the scientists are there, but they're receiving all the priorities of the community right away because they come at the center for a coffee, etc., and they exchange. And suddenly, all our research program is shifting a little bit to be more interdisciplinary, to try to answer locally some really specific answer. And by the way, the center is open not only for Canadian, or it's open for everyone as at the forum here. So that's the kind of example that will bring what you mentioned.
Yes, it's very interesting for marine stations, of course. Now, the last question, how an international network can improve interdisciplinarity in ocean research rather than isolated initiatives? Daya, if you want to answer first.
Okay, I want to say something about my major. My academic background include a bachelor's degree in economics, a master's in environmental engineering, and a PhD in environmental planning and management. But you know, it's not easy for a social scientist in marine science. So I think we need to do more for young students working in this area field. From my point of view, building a stable and long-term international platform is essential. This could be done through global organizations or through academic networks. Either way, it's a key step toward advancing interdisciplinary ocean research. Potential frameworks for such collaboration include a global committee of marine scholars, a marine university alliance, academic network, or international summer schools. These platforms maybe can build conversation, push research forward, and shape ocean learning that meets the moment. But none of it happens without the shared wisdom and the collective drive of global scholars. Building these international platforms can greatly strengthen cooperation between governments on marine issues. And AI has helped break down language barriers when it comes to using foreign language materials. As a result, scientific resources in different languages are becoming easier to access and more useful, making it much easier for researchers around the world to work together. I really appreciate the efforts made by France and the organization team in setting up such a meaningful platform. I fully support turning this into a long-term mechanism. To me, this could be one of the most important takeaways from our forum. Hopefully, it can also tie in with the bigger goals of the UN Ocean Decade. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Philippe, perhaps?
Yeah, I think we need to change our mindset of competing against each other. I think we need to move to a sort of, we know at the, I will change that. We know at the national level, sometimes we want to battle for more visibility, more funding at a national level, but think about also your grant agencies. They love when you're at the international level. Suddenly you gain some point in your proposal because you're at the international level. And we need to change this perspective, our mindset, and to change. I'm sure you know what is a collaborative board game. So it's like poker. If we were playing poker, usually there's only one winner, but you can imagine now then we're all going to try to win against the bank or against the opponent, the guys who, this is the way we need to think now. This is a new way of thinking, and definitely the international forum like this, it's a good one. It's the, I would say, the right way of doing, because I believe that no university excel in all discipline. We need to complement each other. So I will give an example of Laval University. We're quite good in Arctic research. Yeah, the Arctic is just beside, just north of us, but this is where we have the cryosphere. We're working with ice. That's the way. That's our quite big expertise in frozen seas. However, we have no program in fisheries, and we accept that. We have very little physical or hydrography and oceanography. We accept that. This is why we're partnering with some national and other international institutions. And just to say, just after this round table, we're going to go to a ceremony to sign an agreement between Sorbonne University, CNRS, and Laval University to increase our collaboration through this international research laboratory, TACUVIC. So researchers from institutions from Sorbonne and CNRS are coming here in Canada, or not here, sorry, 8 hours flight this way. So to Canada, and our work together to complement what Laval is lacking and also complement each other. So I think also this forum is the right platform to start this kind of collaboration, and just by having a website mentioning which are our three expertise in each university. It's impossible to have a list of 20. Sorry, that's my opinion. We can be strong in a few, and this is where we need to highlight and try to complement each other, because the ocean needs this interdisciplinary approach. We have some major challenge in front of us. And think about the COVID. This is what the people did, and we passed through. Our opponent, it's not among us, it's the way humans interact with the ocean.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Sam?
Thank you. So I'm working and living in one of the oldest marine stations in the world. The Christiansborg Marine Station is 150 years old, and I've been there for more than 20 years now. And I guess, like all of you, I've seen things changing over these last 20 years. Not only marine things changing for the worse in most cases, but also the way, the philosophy of working. We still have this curiosity-driven research, of course, but now we realize that we have another role to play, which is driving positive change in society, so go beyond just producing science. And again, I'm coming back to the importance of that relates to specific questions, mitigation, adaptation. Every places will have different questions to address and different needs. But most of the time, these questions are so big that you won't be able to answer that by yourself. Not only because you don't have all the expertise, but some of these questions requires that you work across borders, across countries. Like if you're interested in climate change, you know very well it's not about exposure, it's about ecosystem sensitivity. So you need to compare ecosystem. We need to understand why an ecosystem is more sensitive than another, and it can only be done by working together. So all these networks of marine stations, some are already existing and in place in Europe. We have MBRC and other ones. That's really instrumental in making that happen. And I think there are still some more work that needs to be done to facilitate that. So I'm working also part-time here in the south in Monaco for the International Atomic Energy Agency, and we do evaluation of needs and capacity building. And we made, for example, an evaluation of the marine infrastructures in Africa and realized that we can use that as a tool to facilitate collaboration. So people can actually identify, okay, you can do this, I can't, let's work together, like basically what you guys will do. So I think it's extremely important to do that. And another way is also solidarity, as I mentioned. Like I'm really concerned about these marine carbon dioxide removals happening in the global south because it's not tested, we have no idea if it works, we have no idea what the consequences will be. So sharing the knowledge and preparing everybody for the push we're going to have from the industries is extremely important. And again, that can only work through networking, working together. I totally agree with what you said. We need to move away from this competition and finally realize that if we really want to address and rescue the ocean from whatever is happening now, it's going to be together.
Thank you. Emma, Julia, perhaps? Yes.
Really quickly, I just wanted to extend on that. And I agree, our oceans, we may be separate countries, but the ocean connects us all. And we're currently working on one of these All-Atlantic Alliance projects where we work with Brazil, we work with Europe. We're all taking samples in our backyard. But up until this project, we're all taking them in our own way, with our own standard operating procedures. And through this project, and we're 30+ partners, we've created standard operating procedures across Europe, Brazil, and South Africa. So now when we take a sample in our backyard, it is directly comparable to Brazil, to Europe. And this is powerful as far as results moving forward. Just want to say that.
I couldn't agree more with Emma, and just to add on to that, I think that this group is an example of how we don't want to work in isolation and we don't want to duplicate efforts, and we are dealing with so many of the same issues. And to add the sort of the law and policy aspect to that as well, some of the issues that we're facing are going to require international frameworks and international policies. And I think that for us to work together on the science level as well to help inform those policies is going to be very important as we move forward. And I see only strength in collaboration and strengthening our universities together.
Thank you. Thank you very much to your answer for this 4 questions. And now you can take the floor for 2 minutes for explain what you think, how you project yourself into the future. Yes, perhaps Emma, you can begin, or yes, Julie.
Perfect. So yeah, looking ahead, I think the commitments outlined today and the discussions we've had today have given us a valuable common framework. We've agreed on a lot of things, I think. But their implementation must reflect regional realities and equity of voice and access. So at Maris in Cape Town, we envision a future where interdisciplinarity marine science is not just a curriculum goal, but a way of working, grounded in justice, context, and co-creation. We see students from Namibia, Angola, Mozambique, and beyond on sharing training at sea programs, not just as guests on borrowed vessels, but as co-owners of research platforms designed for the South. We see our universities as nodes in a strong South-South network, exchanging not only people, but ideas and leadership, while partnering with the North in mutual learning rather than dependency. To implement this declaration meaningfully, we must invest in shared infrastructure, open data, and regional mobility schemes that allow every institution, not just the best resource, to contribute and lead. We must center local knowledge systems, languages, and problem framings in our curriculum. Because a truly global ocean education will not emerge from one model exported everywhere, but from many voices rising together, grounded in place, but united in purpose. This is the future we're working towards, where we are, and one we believe in this declaration can help catalyze if equity stays as its core. Thank you.
Thank you. Julia.
So I direct the Marine Affairs Institute, which is at Roger Williams University School of Law. But we're also home to the Rhode Island Sea Grant Program, which the Sea Grant Program in the United States is in all coastal states. And we also are a partnership with the University of Rhode Island, where we have a joint degree program. So our students can get their law degree and then their Master of Marine Affairs. So working with graduate students, and I'm here representing URI as well today. And we see interdisciplinary work at the heart of everything that we do. It is the core of training our students for the next challenges that they're going to face, is that they're going to have to work in all different areas: natural and social sciences, economics, law, anthropology, engineering. And exposing our students early and often to all of these areas is key in helping them understand some of the problems that our oceans and coasts are facing today. And we see it as pivotal to their success to give them that training. And as we look towards a future where society is going to remain reliant on our oceans, both for the environmental benefits of the oceans and also the economic opportunities that our societies see through our oceans, we really do need to train the next generation to be cognizant of all the needs and opportunities that our oceans can give us and provide for us. And to do that effectively, I think we need to continue to train them on all different levels to face the challenges that they're going to see in the future.
Thank you. Philippe? Philippe, you...
Nope.
Yes. Keep the microphone.
I love what my colleague just said earlier. I think the next step where we want to go in our place, it's have the full spectrum of disciplinary. You still need some people working on a really specific question because we need to have your home expertise, and also and you move some multi, inter, and even to transdisciplinary, because this is where we need to go. And what you just mentioned about bringing all these, even the law, I will say in Canada, then our part of the Arctic is challenged by different country. That's maybe not, and it's part of, I would say, benthic science, if you know what is a benthic animal, and also law need to speak together. That's a clear link there of two different disciplines to converge in the same direction. So through a new institute at Laval University, we're bringing, it's called the Institut Nordique du Québec. So we're bringing everyone first in the same building. So that means we can all talk from different discipline all together instead of being in my biology, the other one in law, etc. So all in the same place, around the same coffee, and get the same type of question, bringing all these all together and through different school, different teaching. So we need to go to this level with the student to train them in real, like I mentioned earlier, on the same ship, on the same land. You bring them in the Antarctica with the local people. So we need also, in our case, you're talking about the South. In our case, we need to talk about the community of the North. So they are the same thing. There's no university in the Arctic in Canada. That's a one step. They want to build one. So we need also to interact more, bring some funding there, and also leave them the space and co-construct these type of project based on some of their priority. Then, because it's not only the ocean, you said we're connected to the ocean, but everything happen on land, hands in the ocean. So we need to have a full continuum from land to ocean. That's the kind of thing we need to go through.
Thank you. Sam?
Thank you. So something that is clear is that we need change. I think we are all here because we realize this. We need change urgently. And for me, like what needs to be done is start locally. So we define locally what are the most important things that needs to be done to keep fisheries going, to have a sustainable ocean exploitation. So that will need to real questions. And the real question will also define the key actors. So what kind of partners needs to work together to actually drive this. Then when you have your local question, you can implement collectively and internationally, or at least globally. And that's going to require networking, collaboration, and so on. But all that relates at the end to one point, which is communication. I think we need an improved communication at all these different steps. And some of those will be challenging because not every person knows how to talk to a policymaker or to a scientist. It's complicated. And for me, what is really required to make all this happen is time. I think there is this issue that everybody is busy. We try to implement that in Sweden, so we basically, our university communicated with HAV, which is the Swedish Authority for Waters, and we said, okay, we went there and said, okay, what data do you need? We want you to take action, so what data would convince you to do that? And they were extremely well intended, so they considered climate change and so on, but at the end of the day, they said, well, we know we should talk more to you guys, scientists, but we just don't have the time. And then I made a little bit of an investigation in my university, and it was the same thing. Say, we know we should talk more to authorities, but we don't have time. So that's one of the major infrastructure investment that needs to change at every level. We need to give people the time to actually learn to communicate better, to identify these questions and implement them. Thank you.
Thank you. Daya.
Looking for ahead, ocean science and technology will continue moving forward repeatedly. We will understanding and use the ocean more deeply than ever before. More resources, more energy, more opportunities. But greater use means greater responsibility. Deeper exploration could impact the sensitive ecosystems. Over-planning might threaten coastal zones. Climate change, driven by greenhouse gases, will hit the oceans further. Yet, every challenge is also an opportunity. My team and I will stay ready, already prepared to step up and make a difference. We'll keep bring different fields together, because that's how science helps us taking on the future. No matter how big the challenges, our job is clear: turn science into solutions. And I look forward to collaboration further with everyone. You are all warmly welcome to China for the future meetings. I worked in Beijing, and I was born in Shanghai, and I worked in Qingdao for 20 years. So if you are going to these three cities, you can email me and visit my hometown, my school, and my Ocean University in Qingdao, in China. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Perhaps I can add quickly that it's also a question of number. We have to involve our colleagues of humanities and social science to have an interest about ocean sciences, because take the example of France. It's very difficult. I'm anthropologist, and we have very little, I think 10 in France, to answer to the question of our colleagues. So there is a question of number too. Now we can take the floor, and if you have some question, please.
Yes, I have a question. There is no doubt that multi-transdisciplinarity is essential to tackle ocean challenges. But is it useful to find a job out of universities and research labs?
Who want to answer?
So we have a joint degree program, as I've mentioned, and we also offer different certificates. And I've found that the students that have engaged in the joint degree program or gained certificates in some of these interdisciplinary areas are getting jobs way more than the students who just have like a traditional JD, right? They're more competitive in the job market. They have different skills that they're able to bring to different jobs. And I think that they're also, once they're getting that first job, they're more successful in that job, which, you know, helps them get the next job and move forward. So we see it as extremely positive to have this for them seeking jobs. And it also, you know, from the university perspective, it brings in more students, right? When you offer these opportunities, it's, even if they don't end up doing the joint degrees or the certificates, they come to the schools because it's an opportunity, that they see it as an opportunity before they get there. So it also works for getting the students in the door, which is usually helpful in the university perspective.
Love the question. That's provocative and a good one, because it's true that there is it's easier sometimes to be in a silo and to find a job. But on the other hand, it takes a certain personality to take the chance of going into this program. And we can see we have this program in my university where we have people forced to work across disciplines. And I was very surprised by how successful they ended up. For example, I had a student coming from geography, and she did an experiment in my lab. She was amazing. She was really good because I think she came with this willingness to do something different. And now she's doing a PhD in natural science, which is interesting because she really moved from one to the other. And I think that takes a lot of skills. You need to be able to communicate. So if you can do that, I think it's an amazing extra skill you have. So I think it's a positive thing too.
Yes? You have a mic? Yes, it's okay. It's good.
Well, thank you. It's Richard Thompson, Professor of Marine Biology from the University of Plymouth in the UK. I think it was a fantastic panel, and I suspect that many in the room are completely aligned with all the things you said, that the way forward to solve the challenges we've got have to be about transdisciplinary research, connecting the land and the sea and connecting internationally. But a challenge a bit, I think it was Philip, you said we needed to alter our mindset as perhaps the scientific community, as I hear it as a scientist. But I'm not sure the scientific community is the obstacle. The obstacle for me is I feel that I'm lacking the funding instruments. It's one thing to have a collaborative agreement between two universities, but what I need is a funding instrument that will help to get me there. So I'm kind of hoping that some of you will comment on success stories. To me, the best success story that I've had over the 30 years of my career has actually been some of the European Union funded framework projects that have actually forced, if I say forced, they've encouraged the interdisciplinarity, they've encouraged the international networking. But in my view, there are not very many, and it's a big obstacle, and some of the funding we have is very piecemeal. Just last week I was working on a collaboration with a colleague in China, and then with a separate one in Norway. But we need something that helps us to bring us all together. I mean, in brief, it's about the question you said. I love the comment about the kid and the hammer, right? It is about addressing the question. Once I've got my question, as a scientist, I just want to work with the best people in the world. And that's the way to tackle these problems. But there are no funding instruments, in my view, that will help me get there. So I just welcome your reflections on that. And if we don't have the funding mechanisms, how do we put pressure to try to get them? Because it's difficult for one country to fund such a program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I can jump in, try.
Yes.
I think you're right. I think that's where is the challenge. And I'm sure you're aware of the UNOC program. I think you were involved. It took time to build it, but it was, for the people who are not aware, the UNOC program was a mix of UK, correct me, Inuit, province of Quebec, FRQ, and different grant agency around the world decide to put all the money together to come in the Canadian Arctic to tackle some interdisciplinary question, including the priorities of the Inuit. So it took a few years to build the program, but you're right, I think it's time. You mentioned the time, and most of our grant agency, we have, I don't know, in Canada, we have most of the time 3 years. So the time to build the program, we need some extra time. And that will be the one way. And I think we're there. I think we're with this forum, with everything happening this week, it shows that we are now at the international level. And we need to figure out a way. Scientists by pushing the machine, and I think this afternoon or later we have a signature, we push then 3 of our university and the CNRS are going to be all together. We push that in the same direction, and funding is on the table to get this interdisciplinary approach. So I think it's possible, you're right, but it takes time from the base, but also they need some willingness from the top, and there's some. So I hope if there's some grant agency member here, think about this question, please.
Thank you.
Okay, good morning. My name is Dr. Henrik Stahl, and first of all, I would like to say thank you for a really interesting session and from all the insights from the panel. I'm from the University of Khorfakhan. I'm a marine scientist there, and we're probably, University of Khorfakhan being in the United Arab Emirates. So we're probably the youngest marine university in the room, probably the kid with the hammer at this point in time. And my question to you, as a young marine university, we're only 3 years old, and our marine program is just 2 years old, and we just finished building a marine station. Given your experience, what would be your key recommendations, how we can best foster meaningful interdisciplinary collaboration, both in research and education? What structures, incentives, or culture shifts should we prioritize early to ensure this integration is authentic and sustainable? Thanks.
Who wants to answer? Julia.
I'll start. Well, so my law school has only been around for about 20, 25 years, which is fairly young for a law school in the United States. And one of the things that we did that was very successful is we partnered with a university, the University of Rhode Island, which has one of the oldest marine affairs programs in the United States. And that was our joint degree program. And through that, we're now nationally known as a law school in marine affairs. So I would say find a partner that you can work with, that's going to give you space to develop what is sort of unique to your university, and give you the opportunity to grow that, but also with a connection to a more established university. And this is probably a good place to look for folks that would be willing to partner.
Thank you. Maybe
if I may add one thing.
Can I take the last question?
Yes.
Thank you. My name's Paul Alawalia. I come from the University of the South Pacific. And just to give you a little bit of context, the University of the South Pacific is owned by 12 countries, 12 small island countries, and spans a mere 33 million square kilometers of ocean. So, just to give you context, and we span about 6 time zones, including the Cook Islands, which is a day behind us from our headquarters in Fiji. So we've just started a new Center for Sustainable Futures, and is totally funded by the government of New Zealand. One of the things that I really found fascinating this morning was that nobody talked about Indigenous knowledge. You did a little bit in the Canadian context, but my point is that you can't separate climate change and oceans management to begin with. They're inextricably linked, and in the Pacific, we're very aware that Tuvalu, one of the countries that owns my university, possibly will sink even, there's a debate whether it'll be the Maldives or Tuvalu, Marshall Islands. So, but these countries have been around for many thousands of years. So we're trying to find through indigenous knowledge, and this is where I kind of had a bit of a issue with the panel, that the panel seems to have a very narrow kind of interpretation of science. And I think there needs to be a massive decolonial moment for science itself. I think that we've done that a lot in the humanities. We've been very kind of careful that we can manipulate data, et cetera, and then use that as evidence that we really have the knowledge and not listen to indigenous people. So I'm kind of making a plea to say we need to start thinking about how we break that divide. So what we've done at the center is we've hired some visionaries, we've hired what we call specialists, and we've hired something we call connectors. And it's a kind of an integrated web of bringing all these people together with taking modern science with traditional knowledge. These people have been living in these countries and navigating the Pacific, as I said, through 33 million square kilometers just around my university. I think that seems to me to be a really big challenge for us to come to terms. And on the center, I mean, we're always looking for new partners. We partner with a lot of universities around the world, and we would welcome anybody's interest.
Thank you very much for this question. Emma.
I'm going to jump in there quickly. Thank you so much for bringing that up. I don't think there was time, given the time crunch this morning. But I'm in South Africa. We have 11, 12 official languages and more local communities that must and are increasingly considered, both in the university curriculum and beyond. There's a huge decolonialization effort within all the universities in South Africa. There are many forums. We have professional mediators that come in, so we have constructive conversations. This is very much something that's happening in South Africa. I apologize I wasn't able to bring it up, but I'm happy to have a further conversation.
Yes. Thank you very much.
I think we have to move to the next.
There would have been some other questions, so it's very active. Yeah. So I'm the bad guy. I have to be the timekeeper. So we have to.
But I'm the good guy, and there will be a buffet after the meeting, and so you can keep your questions for that moment.
Yes.
So you deserve applause.
I want to thank our wonderful panel. Thank you very much to be there and to your answer.
Thank you, Frederic. Thank you, and the bad guy won again. So the second roundtable and second session is about blue economy and the links between the university and blue economy. This is very, very important, and once again, we were here just after the OSCE Congress, just before the UNOC conference, so the link is natural between science and policy. So we have to transform science into action, and blue economy is really a large domain in which universities should have their role. So can I call for Natalie? So Natalie Martial-Raz will be the moderator of this panel, and I will leave you the floor.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. I'm very happy to be here and to represent Sorbonne University, Abu Dhabi. We are very young in terms of marine science. You are just 3 years old, and I think it's almost the same with the Ocean Institute we created during the COP28, so it's a very young center. But I think in the United Arab Emirates, it's very important to have this sort of research and, of course, interdisciplinary research. But probably because we are in the United Arab Emirates, it couldn't be just blue sky research. We need definitely to strengthen ties with the socio-economic ecosystem and with the industry. So it's really important for us to see how we can develop those links and to develop those partnerships, not only with the university, but also with the industries. That's the reason we will have this panel, to exchange ideas with the different colleagues on how we can reinforce those links and develop some partnership to support a regenerative blue economy. So I will call just now all the different panelists, and I want to thank them very much for the work we did before to prepare it and to organize this panel. So first of all, Ana Fernandez Martinez from the University of Murcia in Spain. I will welcome Maria Fernanda Morales Camacho from the University Nacional Heredia in Costa Rica. Dominique Robert from the University of Quebec in Canada. Ms. Denise Schell from the University Nelson Mandela in South Africa. And the French part from Professor Lars Stemann from University Sorbonne, and more specifically in Villefranche. I let 5 minutes for each of them to give their salutation. Thank you very much to be here, and I promise I will be very short. I just want to give a bit of context. Why it's important first to work on regenerative blue economy. I think it's no longer time to doing less, but maybe to doing better. We can restore the ecosystem. We can empower the different communities, and we just have an example of what we need to engage more. We need to transform the economics model to develop more sustainable solutions for the future. The university can and they must be part of this transformation, not only as knowledge producers that we are used to play this game, but also as bridges between science, society, community, and of course, the ocean. So the only question we will have to answer today is how we can, as academia, as a faculty, how we can move from intention to action, move from intention to impact. How we can come from isolated initiatives to systemic partnership with business, with policymakers, and finally with the society, with citizens. So our objective today will be to bring, of course, not a final answer, it won't be possible and it will be very pretentious, but maybe to bring some elements to move forward and to move from intention to action. We will focus today in 3 pinpoints. The first one will be to share and probably to exchange around the different institutional models and best practices you represent here. What is already working in your initiatives and which partnership you can develop and show here in the real world to just illustrate the impact and the local engagement you have within your different initiatives. After this time, we will exchange on the cross-cutting challenges. Why are we working since so many times in silo? How we can create some incentive, how we can make a better governance to share data, to access better to the data, to create more inclusion, well, how we can confront all these different topics. And at least we will try to make a bit of prospection and to see how we can change after this forum, how we can continue with our university and beyond in the society over the next 3 years to prepare the next UNOC 2028. So I won't be longer, and I will give right now the floor for each of you. And first of all, I will give the floor to Ana Fernandez Martinez from the University of Murcia, and I will give you the floor to present your initiative, Be So Well, and how does this initiative demonstrate a replicable model of collaboration between university and blue economy actors? What role do platforms like the Research Cafe and the virtual community of practice play in translating knowledge into action?
Well, thank you, Natalie. Well, I'm here because of this project. I'm from the University of Murcia, that is in the southeast of Spain, the Mediterranean region. And this project that is called Be So Well deals with the sustainable blue economy and well-being of people. But the way we have focused this project has 2 factors, I think, that are, well, for us possible to be replicable and also to use it for other groups. So first of the things is that we unite 5 European universities from different maritime regions and different cultural heritage. So this enrich the approach of this project regarding the blue economy because they give this regional specific knowledge, their challenges and their innovation. And on the other side, the University of Murcia has an institutional mechanism that is called the Transfer Knowledge Groups that extend the university impact by involving external stakeholders and also aligning research with the real world needs. In my case, I work with a group that is blue economy, but we deal, for example, with marine biotechnology, sustainable tourism, or digital innovation. So this, the aim of our projects, or one of the outcomes, is to create a good practices guide so we can, everyone, let's say, can use these good practices, this local thing to apply it to their knowledge, to their situation, or well, to do it more universal.
Thank you very much. I will give the floor directly to Maria Fernanda. How your university, the University Nacional in Costa Rica, how this work is grounded in community engagement and blue justice? How do you ensure that legal voices are included in research and program design? And how does that reshape what we think of as a blue economy model?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the invitation. I'm so happy to be here with my colleagues and also in this privileged seat that I can see, like literally the sea. So, first of all, Universidad Nacional, National University, is a kind of young university, but with a long tradition in marine science. And marine science, not only in teaching, but also in research and in outreach, and that's important. And I have to say that National University is a university, public university, created to focus on the most vulnerable people in Costa Rica. That's the main focus of the university, historically speaking. So I have to say that regarding blue economy and regarding research in this field, the first thing is effective participation. And I understand that when we talk about effective participation, it sounds like a buzzword, you know, everything, like everyone talks about effective participation, what does it mean? But for example, I have to say like a mid and long-term commitment with communities in terms of research and in terms of outreach. Because one of the main complaints, and I have to say this from my work in the university and fieldwork, of communities is that you start a project or your research project, outreach project, and the main complaint is that, okay, everything is fine at the beginning, but what happens after 1 month or 2 years? What happens with the university and what happens with all the things and the trust that is hard to build in the university, in the communities. The other thing, when we talk about blue economy from a blue justice perspective and from in terms of what National University does, talking from a humanist approach to communities, is how to figure it out, designing projects and designing outreach projects from a more democratic and inclusive perspective. And it sounds nice when I say that, but what does it mean? So you go to the community, for example, and how to start building from the community to the top. That is nothing new. We always discuss these kind of things in development also. But I think that this is important because when you have a long-term commitment with communities, you build trust, you know, you start a project and then you are there for a long time. I think you create something that it's very important in terms of what a national university does, in terms of not only from natural science perspective, but also social science perspective, is that you create legitimation in the communities. And I think that's also very important in terms of when you talk about blue economy, and I think we can go further in this panel about that. And when you talk about blue justice, it's about being inclusive and it's about being more democratic.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a very good example where we need to be more humanist, probably, in the Blue Economy initiative. I will give the floor to Dominique Robert, and I will ask him what lesson can we learn from EFQM about structuring durable networks between academia, government, industry, policymakers. Can this model be adapted internationally? Can be an example for all the university here.
Yeah, thank you, Nathalie. So I'll just briefly introduce myself. So I'm a professor at the University of Quebec at Rimouski, the Institute for Marine Science, and along with my colleague Vianney Pichereau from University of Brest, is seated just in front of me right now, so better look what I say. So we co-lead a network. It's a France-Quebec network that we call the France-Quebec Maritime Institute. So there's no walls, it's really a network in which we bring together academic researchers, government, and also industry. And the model is that instead of having persons as members, we have institutions. So the network gathers all the marine universities of France and Quebec, all also the college centers of technologies, the government agencies, for example, IFREMER, CNRS in France, and also the industry under the form of associations. So, for example, the Maritime Cluster of France. So this helps us really bring together like key stakeholders with scientists, and so far it has helped us to successfully respond to calls for proposals, you know, that bring together academia and industry in response to challenges relative to blue economy. So, so that's the model that we have, and I could give some more examples maybe in the further questions. So I'll keep this short for now.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you for keeping the suspense. I will give the floor to Denise Shell from Nelson Mandela University, and how the SAMOS initiative seeks to reform ocean science education across 9 universities. What challenges have you faced in building a truly inclusive, multidisciplinary program that meets real-world blue economy needs?
Okay, I think given the previous panel, as well as some of the things that were brought up and what my colleagues here have said, I'll probably skip through a lot of what I was going to say. But the SAMOS, or South African Master in Ocean Science, Masters in Ocean Sciences initiatives it's an initiative, an EU project. UBO is the lead partner. Nelson Mandela University is the lead South African partner. And we basically are seeking to, we've just started, so we're seeking to make significant strides in reforming ocean sciences education. And we're trying to really build a truly inclusive, multidisciplinary program, or interdisciplinary program that aligns with a sustainable blue economy, not an extractive blue economy needs. And it does come with challenges. So as you said, there are 9 South African universities, but there are also other partners, so there are 15 partners in the, so I think the first challenge is wrangling all the cats, so it's a herding cat situation to get things going. But to be more serious, as the previous panel says, a lot of it is, we have to bridge the disciplinary silos because ocean sciences is multi and interdisciplinary. And it's to build a holistic curriculum. It brings in law, it brings in social sciences, cultural history, indigenous knowledge, along with our traditional marine biology, oceanography, engineering, also economics, and turning that information and understanding, as we train students, how to integrate that into policy, how to speak to policymakers. And one thing I've learned this week is in South Africa, we're actually quite good at that. And so I think there's a lot to be learned of what we do in South Africa in terms of how we turn our science into policy, how we integrate our indigenous knowledge holders into the process. So that's just a support for what Emma was saying as well. We also have still huge disparities in South Africa. Post-apartheid, yes, in '94 it was sunshine and rainbows, but reality does set in, and so we still have a diverse population, regional disparities, and we have to make sure we have equitable access, not only for students, but also for universities, so they have equitable access to students, because we have historically disadvantaged universities and our historically advantaged universities, so there is inequalities in infrastructure, digital access, academic support, and especially in the historically under-resourced institutions. But there's tremendous knowledge in each individual institution that can complement and collaborate with that. And then also we have to build a new curriculum that has relevance and industry alignment to make sure that we have those partnerships and we build those partnerships and we prepare these students for the world of work in a sustainable blue economy. There's a need for capacity building and skills development, not just among the students, but also among faculty and administrators to teach and support multidisciplinary. So we have to merge different institutions, different ideas, different ways of knowing and doing into one curriculum that will serve the country. So that's, and then institutional buy-in and support, policy support, navigating the bureaucratic processes in the Council for Higher Education and among the universities has been a significant challenge early on. And so we have to harmonize individual institutional priorities along with the priorities of the SAMOS program. And then we have a lot of underprepared students, unfortunately, especially in the science, technology, engineering, and fields. And we need to make sure that part of the program is we saw in PhD students that they didn't quite have everything they needed to embark on their PhD. So this Top Masters seeks to do that, but also to give them a broad range and understanding of all of the different areas of ocean sciences. So I'm also a strong believer that we need strong single-disciplinary basic research, but we need to be able to open that up and have an understanding of the various different aspects of ocean sciences.
Thank you very much. We will come back on that later on the question about curriculum and skills for the student. Last, for this first part of the panel, I will give the floor to Lars from Sorbonne University. You argue that universities should challenge the simple techno-solutionist narratives and lead informed public to debate and collaborate to define more sustainable and eco-friendly practices when it's possible. how can we better structure this dialogue between academia and stakeholders to promote science-based alternatives for ocean sustainability?
Thank you very much for this question. Thank you for being here. I will keep the last part of your question for the next questions. And I will start to say that we are all part of the blue economy. We are inside the blue economy, and so we have to see this blue economy from the inside part. Blue economy is very important because this is what supports human activities, supports societies. And there are risks because the way we carry on this blue economy is to extract natural resources. And the risk is first that those resources are limited, but mostly it's because we destroy habitats. And so having a sustained blue economy is complex. It's complex first because there are a lot of activities. We have the classical ones like harbor, like maritime transports, like tourism. We have a lot of activities which suck the water from the ocean, bring it to nuclear power plant to cool them. We have other activities that will take the water and release the salt in the ocean. And all that had a local impact in the past, but as humanity is developing, all of this becomes global progressively. And then there are more new threats which probably will become global in less than 10 years. And it was mentioned about these MCDR techniques, which aim to remove some of the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere to the ocean. And those will have a very strong impact, and we don't know what they are. We don't know what are the good solutions. So the society includes the activities. I mean, the blue economy includes the activities, but also the players. The players are the industries. The players are the citizens. The citizens are strange players because on one hand, they want to consume, and on the other hand, they want to protect. But those who want to protect is those which are informed about the risks. The other one just consume. Then we also have among those who knows the risk, they aggregate into communities, and that would be the NGO, for example. They would advocate to protect the environment, and then you have other NGOs that would promote some activities. And then you have the politics that have to take decisions and that have to enforce the law. So there are many players, it's complex. And I think that is truly where interdisciplinary comes into actions, as you said. And it's very important because it's about actions. Myself, I'm a professor in marine ecology. I did not consider me in really the blue economy. I was looking for natural phenomena, trying to understand them, to scale them up at global scales. But very recently, knowing all the future impacts of those activities such as MCDR, I decided to go to some of the meetings that were dealing with this aspect. And there was one meeting in Liège last week, and this week at UNOC. I don't know where you went, what kind of session you went to, but there was a very large session about marine carbon dioxide removal, either implementing biomass or growing biomass in the sea and then dumping it into the deep oceans, or by making the water more alkaline. So surely there are things which can be done because we try to mimic natural process, we try to enhance the intensity of those natural process, but we are faced with the market, the carbon market, that and the urgent need to mitigate the climate change. Who tells really the people that there is no natural-based solution to regulate the climate. It's about decarbonation. It's about changing our way of living, of working. So there are many players. It's very complex, and this is why interdisciplinary comes into. And I think I will keep my proposition for the next questions.
Thank you very much. That will help me to keep the time. So I think now it's time to go deeper in the problem and to try to find solution to give a way to make this move from intention to action, and to being able to find solution for the cross-cutting challenges we are facing. We talked about that this morning in the first panel, and now we need multidisciplinary to probably create a reunion of all the players you just mentioned last. But what types of interdisciplinary skills and hands-on training are most needed to prepare the students for, in the future, evolving blue economy careers? How they can be multi-skills in this blue economy market? So this question I will ask first to Denise, and after probably Maria Fernanda, Dominique and Lars could give their opinion on that. So first Denise.
Okay, so once again, I think I'm probably going to reiterate a few things, but we have to prepare our students for this evolving blue economy. And the fact that we need the interdisciplinary and hands-on training to go hand in hand and go beyond the traditional marine science, oceanography, biology. I'm also an ecologist, so I understand that trend. So we need to boost the interdisciplinary competencies because we intersect in multiple domains. There's science, there's technology, there's policy, business, community engagement. So the students should understand not only the marine ecosystems, but how the economics goes with that, how the governance and law and the cultural practices and dynamics are important with that, and to bridge our theory with our practice. So do case-based learning, group learning, bring people with different backgrounds to look at a case, solve a problem, and using real-world challenges. We definitely, as I've just said, hands-on applied learning, make sure that we get the students out into the field in different contexts, not just being on the ship, but also being in the coastal communities, looking at the local or indigenous communities, talking to people, and also arrange some internships, spend some time in an aquaculture farm or in the coastal community or with some of our institutional partners. Technical skills are really important. We need to develop the GIS, remote sensing, and the use of that, and make sure that we're utilizing the tools successfully. And then also give the students a path. Some people are very entrepreneurial. Let's give them a path that gives them the tools so that they can go out with their base knowledge and create something on their own, and give them those skills. And then also like transdisciplinary projects, which I've already mentioned. And we'll go back to the indigenous and local knowledge systems. That's very important in my university in particular, but in South Africa, to incorporate traditional ecological knowledge and ways of knowing, and to work with the coastal communities for respect, inclusivity, and then also create an ecosystem of lifelong learning and multi-credentials that people can come back to, sort of short learning programs to boost skills. As we know, the blue economy sector is changing rapidly, and so we need to create these short sort of programs to help keep that capacity going, build it, involve it. So basically, we need adaptable, cross-functional professionals who have at least a basic knowledge across the fields, And then the most effective curricula will be those that are co-designed with industry and communities and government and meet the priorities where we are.
Thank you very much, Denise. Maria Fernanda, could you add your vision on that?
Thank you. I think, well, two things. The first one is that we don't have to think about just the students, but about the academics. So do we really speak interdisciplinary, or is just a word that we use because we need to use it because, yes, now everything is about being interdisciplinary. I say this because it's not easy, right? It's not easy when you put together people from different backgrounds to talk about very complex issues like climate change or ocean pollution. At National University, I can mention two examples. We are working very hard on promoting scientific diplomacy, and we have colleagues here that from different backgrounds, they approach to how to communicate science and how to behave in the political context. Because I'm going to say this very carefully, science is also about politics. What is going to happen this week is about politics, and it's very problematic because it's politics most of the times shaping science, and not only science informing policy that in an ideal world will be like that. So first example, yeah, scientific diplomacy, and the second one, I'm the coordinator of the Blue Diplomacy Chair in the National University, and we're trying to create short courses for people in the university, mostly academics, but also students, to give a chance to learn about different topics, more from a socio-political perspective. So ocean governance, blue economy, maritime law, law of the seas. So I have colleagues here that their background probably marine biology, but now they have more knowledge about law of the sea. And I think this is very important because it gives a different perspective, and it allowed us as academics to speak this that we call interdisciplinary. When we talk about the curriculum, I think, and I have to say that my background is in international relations, so more from the socio-political perspective, but I think that a strong formation on social and ethical dimensions when we think about the sea. And why social and ethical dimensions? Because technical formation is very important, it's critical, but then if you have to communicate science, if you have to be with a community, working together with a community, with indigenous people, you have to understand their worldviews and also the politics working there. I think also it's very important from a technical perspective, and we have to talk about it, is artificial intelligence. Yes, from the technical perspective and also from the ethical perspective, what are the challenges and also the potential for the universities, for teaching, researching, for learning, because I mean, artificial intelligence is changing our lives from different perspectives. So I think we have to take into account this. And the other thing that I consider is very important in the curriculum, and sometimes we talk about this, yes, but sometimes we take it for granted, is effective communication. Like how to reach communities. We have to speak different when we talk about with communities or when we talk with politicians. And also it depends where we are, because politics, I mean, we're different. But also we have to think and talk in a different way when we are talking, for example, with the private sector, that I think is also very sensitive, and it's very important, it's critical just to also trying to narrow down the gap between private sector, that in some countries I know that is bigger. For example, in my country, that's the case, and universities and academia and also civil society. Yes, I will leave it like that.
Thank you very much. It's very important, all that you mentioned. Dominique, you want to add some elements?
Yeah, well, my colleagues have talked a lot about interdisciplinarity, so yeah, very important. Maybe I'm going to focus more on the hands-on experience that the students should get. So, I find it's pretty, it happens a lot that you meet graduate or like young graduate students, they just finished an undergrad degree and they don't really have a clue of what matters in blue economy, in the field of blue economy in general. So they have a strong theoretical background, but a pretty low understanding of what's going on and what could be a career for them, basically, outside of academia. So to me, an important part is to provide them with opportunities. I think the programs should include mandatory internships in like blue economy sector, and that's something that at the IFQM we're trying to give opportunities. For example, through seminars. So 2 weeks ago, as an example, we organized a webinar, like a seminar on a French helicopter carrier that came to Quebec City, and we had a full day of presentations to students from professors and from company owners that work in artificial intelligence relative to the maritime and the naval sector, and that was like really enlightening, I think, for the group of students that came on board. And for example, next month we organize a summer school in Brest on the renewable marine resources, and so again the students will be taught by a group of professors, but also industrials. They will get to see the windmill offshore farms. They will see what it is. They will get a deep understanding of what it is. And to me, that's what's missing in many programs in terms of curriculum. So, yeah, keep it.
It's critical to onboard them on practical skills as well. You're perfectly right. So for this question, I give the floor to Lars. I don't forget you, I promise.
No, just a few add-on because a lot has been said, but I would change the point of view, because here the point of view was what kind of curriculum for maybe students in faculties of science or humanity, but not in economic schools and not in engineering schools. So I would like to give the point of view of the ecologists to say what in those schools they should be taught about. So to me, economists in economic schools and engineers in engineering schools need to know something about the natural functioning of the ecosystem. Because when they start, an activity is started, we don't think about the long term, because it's a question of money. It's quite something that must come rapidly, come back rapidly, is the money. So maybe they should be taught about the ecosystem functioning, and that the service that they are looking after might be lost if the ecosystem is not recycling rapidly enough. Another thing that must be taught is that if the regeneration of the ecosystem is overpassed, then there will be losses, and so they will be obliged to restore, and that has a price. So this must be taken into account when you calculate the cost of this activity. I think also that because now the world is changing rapidly, the climate is changing rapidly, there is sea rise, there are new risks, and regulation is also changing rapidly. So maybe when they think of the long-term activity they are looking for, they should think that the law might be changed and not install an activity knowing that the law might be more constraining 10 years after. Because some of the activities have 50 years of return cost. So, and then finally, I think they should be taught about the extreme event risks, storms, flooding, and that must be taken into account into the activity, in the cost of this activity. So that would be what I would try to teach in those schools.
It's perfectly right, because the engineer, sometimes they are not thinking about the climate change, and they face some difficulties in the ground to solve this problem that they didn't think in their background in school. Next question, and it's directly linked, is how we can engage the stakeholder, how we can move beyond consultation to proper and true co-creation with industries, of course with governments, and the link with the policymakers is sometimes complicated, as you mentioned, and of course with communities, not only indigenous communities, but all the communities. So for this question, I will give the floor first to Ana Fernandez.
Well, thanks. So, well, I think that, as someone said in the previous panel, we have to make a mindset shift. So the knowledge transfer is not only from academia to the world, but we had to, to have a mutual, sustained engagement. In our case, talking about our project, we have an activity that is this research cafe that involves not only researchers, but also the students and the administrative staff or technician and the business world, let's say. So we give the ground to raise awareness about what blue economy is, because as we have said, this is something very, very complex, and if you don't know what it is, you can't talk about that, you are not worried about that. So raise awareness is also a good way to get in action, right? So through this activity, in our case, we can talk among each other about our worries, about what we are researching, what we need, and involving all this community, let's say, not just the academia, but also the business world. I think it's a good starting point to go into action, just at least to raise awareness and to talk to each other.
Yeah, mutual sharing of experience, absolutely. Dominique, you want to add something on this point?
Yes, so a way that we've been using at the France-Quebec Maritime Institute to promote actual collaborations between the private sector and academia is co-creation workshops. So last year, we, along with the Réseau Québec Maritime, we hosted a workshop in Rimouski. And so that workshop included academics, of course, students, lots of students, included also the owners and members of several companies. And we also had some people from France, students, academics, and company owners come over. And so the goal of the workshop was in each day, in one of the sectors, a maritime sector, for example, biotechnologies, marine biotechnologies, we had a keynote speaker from the industry who came and told everyone what were the key challenges ahead of us in that field. Then for the whole day, the students were grouped into teams, and they tried to develop concepts to respond to some of the challenges that were told by industry. And it was under the form of a competition. So at the end of the day, with the help of professors and also industry members, the students presented their projects, and there was a winner at the end of each day. And then we tried to raise the funding to implement the concept or the idea. So those days really exposed the students and the private sectors together. It results in some actual outcomes. And one longer-term outcome is that those days really create links between the blue economy sector, like the private sector, and academia. And then those links can be activated when we see a call for proposal, and usually then we have strong teams applying together for good ideas. So that's how we've been, and the international component. So the inspiration we get from another nation, whether we host an event in Quebec, we get inspired from the point of view of France, and vice versa. So that's another important component, like the internationalization of ideas.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, it's very important to being able to work with private sectors, and we need those use cases to promote the knowledge of our students practically. Denise, you want to add something quickly on this point?
Okay. In essence, I think we want to move from consultation to co-creation. We don't want to just inform stakeholders or ask them for feedback, but we want to build the partnership and the trust, because it takes a long time to build trust with industry partners, with community partners, and across our collaborations. So we have to have that shared value and mutual accountability. And we need to do trust-based relationships where decisions are made with people, not and stakeholders, not just about them. And then, only then can we really have the blue economy initiatives be inclusive and sustainable and truly impactful. And also the funding models have to be adjusted, especially those that are requiring transdisciplinarity. I have an example from our university, a GIZ funding, which was funded in 3 phases. So there was the co-creation phase funding, so that all the partners could get together and co-create. Then there was the finalization of proposal, so everyone worked together with that proposal phase. And then the 3rd phase was the implementation phase. So I think we're required, not just the way we think, but the way funders think. And it also, if you have a 3-year project or a 4-year project, that trust and that the relationships you build, the project's over, the money's gone, and then people traditionally would move on. We need to look a little bit more forward. We need to look more broadly, and if we want to truly have these kind of relationships and this kind of research, it has to be for a longer funding period, and something on that model might at least start funders thinking about it's not just a 3-year get in, go, get your data and get out, and publish your papers.
Yeah, you're right. That's where, in fact, the research could have an impact, and the knowledge could be changed into action. And talking about that, what are the mechanisms you could promote? For example, digital platforms, or we talk about that, joint degrees, labs, incubator. What mechanisms have the most potential to scale collaboration with the private sectors and the stakeholders? Not only in your region, but also globally. So for that, I will give the floor first to Lars to give some incentive on this point.
Thank you. Well, here comes some good news, at least from France. France is now mandatory in economic schools and engineering schools to have programs which include something about ecology, about natural systems. And I'm myself teaching in some of those schools, both engineering and economic. So I think it's a good way, and that was possible because there was such a pressure on the Ministry of Education to have these programs that at the end they are now given. So I think it's a good news. Another good news coming from my own experience is now at the European level that we have the fundings from Erasmus Mundus programs, which funds joint master degree, funds individual mobilities, and funds project-based activities. And my own experience that I'm leading for Sorbonne, I was leading, not anymore, international project whose name was IMBRC, which stands for International Master of Biological Resources of the Sea. And that master was incredible. It's 11 universities in France, and some universities here are included in this master program. We brought up to 120 students in one cohort and coming from 40 different countries. And that was a very interesting and intense experience because not only you are teaching to students coming from very different countries, different cultures, but those coming from Asia didn't have at all the same scope and objective as the one coming from Europe. They were looking for food productions. In Europe, we were looking for conservation of marine systems. So it was very interesting. And I think it's, so I think Europe is providing good tools, mostly maybe for European countries, but still there are some projects or some European programs like the Climate Kick, which enable to, let's say, go outside Europe and have programs. Then going for the digital in one word. Running a master program with 40 nationalities during COVID time is really hard. Nobody can move from one place to the other. So we developed a digital program very quickly, showing how fast educators can, work and try to propose something. But even despite of all our efforts, when COVID was gone, students never came back to the digital resources we had made.
Thank you very much. Just one word because we are running out of time. So probably Maria Fernanda and Ana Fernandez. First, but one word.
Yeah, regarding our project, the setting of virtual community of practices, also joint degrees and these industrial PhDs, and also the international level of our 5 universities and these knowledge transfer groups that allows industries to get into the academia and to develop this, the research that they need. And they have this ground to develop their work.
Thank you to be so short.
Okay, I'm going to be quick. So first, understanding capabilities and context. I think that's important just to design or think which model is the best. I think the partnerships are critical. For example, for academia to reach not only civil society, but also private sector. And that is something that National University, my university, needs to figure it out because it's very challenging in the context of Costa Rica still, because there are lots of legal issues there. And joint degrees, of course, always, and academic networks. I think it's very effective. Also, it's good just to keep connecting. So academic networks, I think it's good alternative as well.
And I think that's the point of this sort of international forum. If you can just have one word for the future, one word, really, what would be your advice or in one word? If you have to sum up, no, but it's a good exercise. What would be your advice for UNOC 2028 in one word?
Can I use 2?
Yeah, okay, 2, not more.
Keep connecting.
Great, that's very short.
I would say international collaboration.
Thank you.
2 words.
Half a sentence. Basically live our interface between knowledge and action.
Thank you very much. I will take the mic.
Identify the job market for the students.
Thank you.
In interdisciplinary things.
Of course.
And well, use universities to be laboratories that connect knowledge with creation and with action.
Thank you very much. We try to keep it short. I don't know if you have time for question or if it will be
Thank you, Natalie and the panelists. You will be punished. You will have the questions during the buffet.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
So I will transition to the next panel. So don't forget the question for them. They are punished for the buffet. So the next panel is about spreading ocean education across the world. So I'm very short. So Dr. Girardi, please take the floor with the panelists.
So good morning, everybody. Can you hear me all right? Yes. So I'm Eric Giliardi. I'm an ocean and climate scientist at CNRS, based at Sorbonne University in France. And I'm here as my capacity also of the president of the Office for Climate Education, which is an organization under the auspices of UNESCO, which provides capacity building for quality and climate and ocean education to empower primary and secondary teachers, so a slightly different angle here, and education systems worldwide. So I'm really pleased to be moderating this third roundtable, and I want to thank the organizers for this invitation, and in particular our amazing director of the Ocean Institute, Christophe Prazuk, for his pushing all this to happen. And I would like to invite our panelists to join me here on the stage. So Luis Menezes Pinheiro, Drozos Kutsuba, Céline Picard, and Franck Schoef, please. And I will properly introduce them in a minute. Is Drozos here? Okay, well. Okay, if you're sure, please come. You'll have to introduce yourself then, because please come. Right, so I will do a short introduction, then we can move to our panelists. So as recognized in the declaration we will be adopting today, universities have the responsibility to educate and empower future generations and produce the knowledge and action necessary for the sustainable use and governance of the ocean. This is really what we're here for, and those 2 weeks are an amazing moment for that. So as we just heard, universities are really major players in interdisciplinary research on the ocean and the training of the next generations of scientists, as we discussed during the first roundtable, which also I found really interestingly stressed the central role of humanities in providing the broad and perspective on the ocean that we need. Second, they provide professional skills for the numerous ocean-related careers of the fast-developing blue economy, with specific challenges for our universities, and again, we just heard about these. And finally, they have a responsibility to support ocean education, so not only for all students in all subjects, but also for all citizens via lifelong learning, the many forms of citizen education, as well as formal, informal, and non-formal education. So in this roundtable, we'll explore how we can build and strengthen the acquisition of ocean knowledge and related skills for all this wide public, what role the universities and education institutions play in this capacity building process. Even though there's one ocean, how can we identify and address the specific needs of local and regional contexts? We heard about this as well. This is a key aspect. And what methods and resources are available to support this initiative, and which ones also are able to scale, which is also one of the challenges we have. Right, so to explore these questions, we have a great lineup of panelists. I'm very excited. And so what we will do, I will first invite each of them to share some inspiring initiatives they are leading in their respective institutions for a few minutes. Then we will continue the exchange with follow-up questions, and hopefully have some time also for all of you in the audience to contribute. So please, short interventions, short questions, and short answers and reply. So we can be in time. I can see Vincent looking at me. Right, so first I would like to invite Luis Menezes Pinheiro, who's professor of marine geophysics at the University of Aveiro in Portugal, and chairman of the Portuguese Committee for the IOC at UNESCO, to share with us the All-Atlantic Floating Universities Network.
Okay. Well, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for the invitation, particularly Francois, for inviting me here. I've been learning a lot, of course, and I'm sure I will learn much more until the end. So I will tell you something about one initiative that we launched. Well, it started with a CSA anchor, which was followed. It is in the scope of the All-Atlantic Research and Innovation Network. And the idea was based on a long experience I had for many years with the Training to Research program in UNESCO, where we trained hundreds of students from several parts of the world, mainly Europe and North Africa. And many of those are now scientists who are responsible for great labs, and they are also helping us now to promote this idea. So the basic idea is, first, we think that doing oceanography, you have to have hands-on experience, you have to have the opportunity to go to sea. So this is, for us, absolutely fundamental. It can change your life, particularly for young people. And therefore, we decided to do this building on existing initiatives. So we did not try to do something from scratch. So we looked for programs all across the Atlantic. So this is an Atlantic-focused program. We looked for all the initiatives that were going on in the Atlantic. We're doing training at sea. We brought them together. Now we have 42 members, 42 programs from 27 countries. We go from Tromsø, which is belonging to the consortium of Norway universities. They are part of us. We go then to Cape Town, to South Africa, and we go from Canada now to Egypt. I will explain you why, because they are doing training also for African students in the West Coast. And then we have also partners like Schmidt Ocean Institution in the West Coast. They are promoting also training in the Atlantic. And we have Italy as well on board. So from all these programs, of course, we have universities, or some of the major universities in Europe. We have marine institutes. We have hydrographic institutes. We have the private sector involved with us. We just have now, recently, 2 weeks ago, we had the Marine Technology Society, which are more than 2,000 people from the US joining. We also have the ECOP network as a member, and we have POGO helping us, and we had Eurofleets before, and now Aquarius. And of course, now Ocean is also helping us a lot. So the main idea is, first of all, we need to know each other, see what is going on, look for complementarities, learn from each other, and see how together we can promote more opportunities for young people to go to sea. And in terms of ship opportunities, we go from 12-meter boats to 120-meter ships. So we have the Polarstern, and we have small boats, and one of the ideas is even to tell some countries, smaller countries with lots of difficulties, that they don't need a huge ship to start doing research. So lots of things can be done in smaller boats in cooperation with port authorities. So mainly the idea is how we are cooperating together. Thanks to this, and thanks, for instance, to the help of POGO to pay for the access of students. We've been already doing several cruises. We started at late 2022. We have already done many cruises in the first year, and now it's increasing and increasing. So it's still a building up community. Everyone is welcome to join. And, well, I think I'll stay here. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to continue. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing this quite inspiring initiative. So now I was going to invite, but I'm going to invite you as colleague of Drosos Koutsoupas. So from the Marine Biology Department at in the Marine Science Universities of University of Aegean in Greece, and to share the work you're doing on ocean literacy and specialized citizen science. So please introduce yourself as well.
Yes, thank you very much.
Obviously, I'm not the Dros Kouchoubas. I'm George Papatheodorou, professor of oceanography at the University of Patras, but we have a very long and strong collaboration with the University of Aegean and personally with Dros Kouchoubas. First of all, I would like to apologize on behalf of Dros because actually he lost his connection flight from Aegean Sea, the Lesbos Island to Athens, and so unfortunately he's not here. The good thing for you is that I have not prepared myself for the questions, so I will save your time, which is actually our only property. Generally speaking, I can say that in Greece, and Greece, as you know, is mainly consists of two archipelagos, the Aegean archipelagos and Ionian archipelagos. So we have three main pillars for oceanography and for marine survey, research and education. There is no doubt that the leading partner is the Hellenic Center of Marine Research. Probably all you know about this. With the headquarters at Athens and another two branches at Crete, the island of Crete and the island of Rhodos. And there is the second pillar is the Department of Marine Science and Oceanography that has been established 25 years ago at the island of Lesbos in the eastern Aegean Sea with a lot of activities, a lot of projects, mainly focused in the Aegean Sea and with much experience in the ocean literacy and of course in the citizen scientist project. And on the opposite side of our country, at the western Greece, we have our lab, the Oceanus Lab, together with Professor Maria Geraga at the University of Patras. And actually, as you know, University of Patras is located in Patras, which is one of the most seismically active areas in Europe. So regarding our lab, we have a lot of projects, commercial projects, EU funding projects, and we have a very wide range of disciplines for marine pollution, mainly plastic pollution, in collaboration with CNRS and with IFREMER here in France, and personally with Dr. François Calgany. We have a lot of projects with habitat mapping, with priority habitats like Posidonia oceanica and the coral gene formation. And we have a lot of projects, if I remember well, Maria, in Eastern Mediterranean with marine geoarchaeology, in Egypt, in Lebanon, with the Phoenician ports, with Alexandria Asian ports. So we have a wide range of interest. We have a lot of students. We have very good collaboration with the department of the Aegean University. We exchange our students, and we have a very strong bond with Hellenic Center of Marine Research. So a lot of our students actually receive experience from the oceanographic cruises. Just the first comment.
Okay, thank you very much. So I guess we will pursue on citizen science maybe as in a second step, because this was the bit we were hoping to hear about, but I understand. So now I would like to turn to Céline Picard, who is Vice President for Research and Innovation at the University of Le Havre, Normandy, and will share an exciting initiative called the UNICOAST, the European University of Islands, Ports and Coastal Territories. Please, Céline.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Hello, everybody. And thank you for this opportunity to speak about this project, UNICOAST. So just to know that a little more than 3 years ago, we have a dream, I don't know, or a wish for our university. It was a little crazy. Okay, can be admitted, but it was to create, or to be at the initiative to create, European Alliance of University that have the same, these universities that have the same image as our university. So a little bit of context. So we are in Le Havre, and so our university is what we can call a university at on a human scale. So it's not a huge university. It's on a human scale, and it is located on a specific territory, with a large coastline, a city that was quite completely or entirely rebuilt, so with an architecture and an heritage, a specific heritage, and also a city called a port city, because we are on one of the biggest or largest ports in France, and one of the first industrial ports in Europe. So just to give you some data, the industrial port in Le Havre covers 27 kilometers from east to west and 5 kilometers from north to south direction. And to give also to be in line or in accordance with what we hear during the first and the second roundtable, the port industry professionals, for example, predict more than 750,000 containers per year, more and more, until 2030. So we decided, to contact universities sharing, the same concerns, large coastline, industrial and ecological risks, with immediate, and real risk of submersion, water pollution, due to marine, but also to port activities. And so we applied, to this European grant that are the European University Alliance. And so we managed, we did it. So we were granted in 2024, and the kickoff of this European University was in last January. So it's the beginning of this initiative. And so we are 12 universities with also one more university, but an associated university. I don't have the time to give you all the universities. I can tell you during the buffet, for example, but we have 6 universities on islands and university that have also ports and ports activities. This project is inspired, by the sea or the ocean, our common good, and the challenges when we were together. So not surprisingly, the societal and the environmental challenges faced by UNICOAST are environmental and climatic challenges, economic diversification needs, biodiversity and ecological sustainability, infrastructure and health system development, migration and social challenges, and also for our countries and territories, depopulation and talent retention. It's also some big concerns. So the mission of our alliance is to promote, a multicultural, multilingual, an inclusive European academic environment open to the world, and to train new generation of students and citizens capable of better responding to these different challenges. And so to address this area, we are building 5 teaching and research hubs that are interdisciplinary, teams of academics, researchers, and students from all these university members. And the 5 hubs are on, first, identities, local knowledge, and cultural heritage in island and coastal communities. The second one is blue circular economy, port logistics, and sustainable blue tourism. The third one is governance, planning, management, and monitoring of island and coastal communities. The fourth one is health, biodiversity protection, nature-based solution, and sustainable exploration of coastal marine resources, completely in line with the SDG 14. And the fifth one is the engineered and data-driven solutions for coastal infrastructure, marine renewable energy, marine safety, and navigation systems. And we have, different projects, but I think that it will be the topic of our discussion after.
Okay, thank you very much, Céline, for sharing this network, an example of network for us today. So finally, I would like to invite Frank Schroff, who's professor of mechanical and civil engineering at Nantes University. He's also the CEO of the Sea and Littoral Institute, and would like to for him to present the Sea Science Digital University, that UNEC, that you are leading to us, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, UN is not for United Nations, it's for Université Numérique in French. Yes, one word about, before I forget, one word about Université Marine. So you have the logo here, because one of the success of this network of marine university in France, so leading by François Lallier here, is that we are able to share education programs of all our universities. I think it's about 20 universities in France, in a unique platform for our students. So that's something that is completely in the scope of this roundtable. So that's before I forget. One word about the Federation of Research I am leading. It's now 55-year-old, and we gather 850 people, so researchers and staff, and about from 20 laboratories. So why I'm saying that is because it is hosting the Digital University of the Sea since about 10 years now. And what is very important here, and Philippe spoke a lot about this previously, is interdisciplinary science we need to share, and even for pupils. And it is not a very easy task, because mechanisms in the sea are very complex and involves a lot of uncertainties. We are facing to people that are not directly in the context. So even if they can be near the sea, for a lot of them are coming from inland and doesn't know anything from the sea, and there is still a lack of observation, and we have to, of course, to be modest in some of the results we obtain. So, and in parallel, we have to attract talents from a lot of territories that are not littoral territories. And for that, we developed a digital hybrid program and digital platform that helps first to gather specialists from several parts of our universities, and to share the stakes between territories that are not, of course, that have not exactly the same stakes, and disseminate the knowledge in all territories. So the digital tools are useful for that. That's only a tool, of course. So our Digital University of the Sea gather now about 150 students each year from 30 countries all over the world. And I will give one example to be more concrete. That's, for instance, impact of climate change, and especially marine submersion on coastal communities. So that's very difficult to have a unique view of this, because that's completely dependent of the territory itself. And what we did is to prepare a portfolio of several study cases from Ivory Coast, so a place called Grand Laou, where there is specific issues here, from the west coast of France, in our region especially, because we had a very huge storm 15 years ago, and from Albania also. So there was 3 territories with not the same stakes, and the digital platform helps to share these specific issues. So that's all from now.
Okay, thank you very much, Frank, for sharing this initiative. So now I'm proposing to follow up with a round of questions, directed to some of you, but please, if any of you want to contribute to the discussion, please feel free. So I guess one question for us is how this international network of marine universities could develop ocean literacy for all at university. What are the related challenges to ensure inclusivity, and the diversity of perspective and narratives. We talked about this in the previous roundtable. I'd be really interested, maybe starting with Louis, if you can provide us some perspective on this.
Yes, thank you so much. Well, just before, just a small addition to what I've said before. Well, first of all, in terms of marine institutes, we have Guiomar, we have in this network, we have UNOC, NOC, we have the NOSOAT program from Alfred Wegener, and we have IFREMER, of course. And so one of the things that we are trying to do, and this addresses the question of things that we can do. One of the things that we are trying to do within this network and within the different partners is to encourage, first of all, interdisciplinarity, so that when people go to see, they have this broad vision, a holistic vision. I can give you a few examples of how this works. But at the same time, we wish also to make some change in terms of promoting intergenerational dialogues. So we are working together with the program of international dialogues, which is run by Sigge Gruber, who is here. And so when we have these meetings, we always have these young people working together with us. We give them questions which they have to look at, and then they have to make a pitch on what are, even for politicians. So it's this idea of intergenerational, multicultural, multidisciplinarity and transdisciplinarity, because we need the social science, particularly to understand how our impact will change societies, because many times this is something which is not very usual for us to think about, but there are people who are specialized on that, and social transformation is something which is complex. But so the idea is exactly to see how we can bring all these sectors together. And I think that the role of universities in terms, first of all, this cooperation and the fact that we bring things together, just a short example I can give you from my own experience. When we started, I'm a marine geophysicist, and when we started looking at mud volcanoes and areas of gas seepage, of course we took together with us biologists, because we knew that we would find strange new systems, new ecosystems, extreme ecosystems in these places. And then when we realized there that we had, in this case, we had some carbonate chimneys which were built up by bacteria, consortia of bacteria and archaea. We brought in microbiologists. Then most of these chimneys, carbonate chimneys, were on the floor, and this was due to the effect of currents. So, and then the work that these communities of microbia were doing was just getting rid of the problem of methane by producing carbonates. So this is where we got the link between geosphere, hydrosphere, and atmosphere. So I believe that our role in terms of ocean literacy and the role that we should have is exactly bringing this holistic perspective, because everything in the ocean is connected. We have to bring all these issues together, and we have also to make sure that science literacy is done with rigor, with scientific rigor, because sometimes people think that to make anyone can talk about simple things about the ocean, but to make a complex system simple, you have to be very rigorous. And therefore, we do have a role also in educating people, and of course in citizen science. This is something that we should encourage. And there are some programs that we have in Portugal, for instance, where local communities are being involved. For instance, we had areas where there were lots of plastic being laid around by fishermen because of they were collecting some worms in the shallow waters. And then they brought together the wives of these fishermen, and they started collecting these, explaining them what the problems were, and at the same time they got some small applications on mobile phones, and they are making a continuous study of the evolution of the salt marshes areas. And so they feel really proud when they come and they present their work. So I think even there we have a strong role that could be useful for communities.
Thank you, Luis. Any of you want to share some perspective on this aspect?
Can you repeat?
Well, it's basically how do we ensure inclusivity, and that's the, we don't have a single narrative. on these questions. So bringing different perspectives, so citizen science is one. Maybe you have other examples in your network of port universities.
Yes, so yes, we have, to be more concrete, for example, at the university at Le Havre, Université Le Havre Normandie, sorry, we have 12 research laboratories, and we don't have, all these disciplinary. We don't have, for example, oceanography. And so we have to build ecosystems with other universities that have the same. What was important for us is also to have the same territories, because we are in Normandy with other universities, but with biggest universities, bigger than us, and we don't sometimes share the same concerns, for example. So today we are working on research and teaching programs, but also on community engagement, for example, and also with, for example, for us, with cost actions that are that connect the port activities, for examples, and port activities from other ports in Europe, but also we have cost actions, for example, that brings universities, but also the socio-economic and the stakeholders with us, and that is important to also attract citizens that are on these territories, to come to the universities, because sometimes it's quite difficult to bring all the people.
Okay. Thank you very much. Maybe on citizen science, I don't know if you want to share a few examples in Greece of what is done in this aspect. So.
Just a short comment, because University of Patras actually participated to the UNICOST, as you know. So I think that a good idea is to make a strong bridge between UNICOST and the International Forum for Marine Universities, in order to receive in this forum the experience and the results of this very important and challenging project. So regarding the citizen scientist, I think that we have to choose some specific disciplines. For instance, plastic pollution is very, very important. In Greece, we have already actually a very strong citizen scientist, a national-wide project regarding the plastic pollution in the beach stranding litter, actually. So we have a platform, a digital platform, and we receive a lot of information for all over the nation. So we can expand this probably in the coastline of the Europe. Another very important citizen siting project is the protection of the habitat priority, like Posidonia oceanica, which is, as you know, is an endemic species in the Mediterranean Sea. Now we have a project, a national-wide project, funded by the Vodafone institution, the Vodafone Posidonia, and a lot of people, thousands of people, sent us information about the Posidonia oceanica meadows very close to the coastline. Some underwater photos from the air, photos from the coast. So we collect a lot of data, and of course, we are planning another approach. We have already designed a very small and cheap benthic observatory, and we are going to deploy this observatory at the middle of the Posidonia oceanica meadow, in order, through the live streaming, to share images not only to the coastal communities, but even to the mountainous community. It's very important for us in Greece, for a small village at the top of the Pintos Mountains, to open the laptop and have an access, a real image of the marine environment.
Thank you very much for sharing this. It's how we connect science communication and citizen science in both ways. So not all universities are near the ocean. I mean, and so Céline, I have a question for you. how can the UNICOAST promote those marine topics and other networks to universities or that are not on the coast?
Okay.
So you have a natural link, but how can we use this network for the many universities that don't have that here we are by the ocean, we have that amazing luxury of our colleagues in Nice, but that's not the case of many universities. How to build on what you've developed to make, as you were saying, cities in the mountains or in the countryside need to know about the ocean. The ocean starts at the river next to you. So how to build this?
How to build? I think that there could be two different approaches. A digital one, of course, where you can build, I don't know, a micro-credential, open micro-credentials, create a virtual campus, for example. So it means that we have to build all these, the UNICOAST have to build, and to then promote and propose after to be like a network, like an initiative to promote then after open micro-credential, for example. So a short learning sequence that could be integrated in the other learning program, not dedicated to marine, but that can give some experience and some expertise. It can be also to create a virtual campus, but also to create an ecosystem, non-digital, but like an open laboratory. I mean, for example, in Le Havre, we have also created what we have called the campus, so the Polytechnic campus of maritime and port territories. And it's an open lab, an open lab where we can also build mobilities, research program to propose to cities or students or citizens or that are not to come and to have the experience of territories, because I think that digital will not only bring all these, it can bring some information, it can inform, but if you want to also to have a real expertise, it's also good to come to the countries. And of course, it's what we call inland or interland. When we are in ports, we call the port cities, but also the interland. We all share the same concerns. So it means that the environmental challenges that we have, it's also the same concerns for non-coastal and non-port territories, of course.
Okay, thank you very much.
Joint program. It's also during the UNICOAST we are building joint programs, on the basic of these networks that we are creating. We also create, we try to create, a doctoral school, to share and to diplomate and to have European diploma. And I think that with these dynamics on learning, teaching activities, but also research activity, it will create, this and propose these programs that then we can share digitally or by different promoting experience or programs.
Okay, thank you. Very thoughtful. So now I turn to Frank again. Clearly we've seen we need to develop these professional skills, marine professional skills. So how can digital tools, we just heard about them by Céline, but how can they help this network we're building in developing these professional skills? And also a question that is always an issue for all of us is what balance between in-person and remote training?
Yes, that's a good question. First, why it is needed? Because that's only a tool. Okay, and I'm thinking about lifelong learning and SMEs, so the needs of SMEs. So usually the SMEs are not close to our universities, even they are not close to big cities, and so the access to knowledge is very, very complex. So digitalization helps to, what we are saying is that it helps to learn where people are and when people can. Because this way to learn a science, for instance, during the lunch break or after working or before working, and it's very fluent and very friendly for SMEs especially. So that's a good way. But you are right, if it is fully online, there is a lack of interaction, a lack of understanding, and so our experience is that you need one-third, one-fourth of in-person exchanges, and so that is needed to deepen the knowledge, to answer to questions, and to have a more wide overview. And what is also interesting is you have experiences from several people at the same time during the virtual classes or in-person classes, and so that's also more efficient because you share the knowledge of everybody. The only limit of virtual classes, so online virtual classes, is that you don't have more. Sorry, you have to limit the number of people, so to 10, 12 people, because if you have 20 people online, some of them will not have questions, some of them will not understand or be aware about the sharing of knowledge, and so that's a limitation. So that should be also included in the program. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you very much for sharing that. I think it's an ongoing discussion, and we're all experimenting. So I think the benefits of such a network is sharing also that experience and expertise. So, right. So I see that we have time for questions from the audience to our panelists. Yes, I see. Oh, yes. Well, I don't know which one was first between Richard and Christophe. So please, Christophe, go ahead, and then Richard.
Yeah, I have a short question for Louis. Don't you think that it would be a high but reasonable ambition for Europe to build a research vessel dedicated to student training at sea? Don't you think it could be a reasonable but high ambition for Europe to build and operate a research vessel dedicated to at-sea training for ocean science students?
Well, that's a great question, but in fact, I'm more a firm believer in cooperating between all our institutions with the resources we have. Particularly, of course, for instance, for many years we've used Russian ships because they were very cheap, and we did lots of research for many, many years, hiring them and doing joint work between universities. But what we are trying to do with the at-sea network is bringing together all these institutions. First of all, they already have training at sea going on. They have different perspectives, and we've been learning a lot. For instance, just a quick example, Brazil has a wonderful idea, from my point of view anyway, which is everyone that does a degree in oceanography, they have to have a certain numbers of hours at sea. I think it's 120, but it's a wonderful start. So I believe what we are trying to do is that our members, the members from our programs, they offer berths with an E, of course. So they offer berths to students from all over the network. And we have applications. What we have decided is that we don't have any committee deciding who is going on your ship. It's the chief scientist who selects the candidates. And he can decide whether he wants a candidate with a certain profile or not. And then when the candidates are selected, what we do, so we are using ships that are already there. And I believe ships are so expensive, so difficult to run. We always say that the 2 wonderful days of a ship is when you buy it and when you sell it. All the other days, it's a nightmare. And so the idea is, why don't we use, of course, we need new ships, and we need that in Europe, but using what is already there, we can do a lot. And so what then we do is we find institutions that help us to fund these students to come. Normally we have having students from Africa, from Namibia, from Angola, from Argentina, Brazil, Portugal, so from different countries. Also we had people from Sri Lanka applying for this, and they were on board. But so then we have these institutions like POGO, for instance, which are funding the participation of the students. We don't charge them on board, but we have funding, and we are looking for partnerships with foundations, even national foundations, that can help also students to participate on this. So in a way, I would think that we need to build a good observation and research fleet, but I think using the resources that we have there, I think we can do a lot. And again, sorry, final thing is, I believe a lot in the old program that we had at IOC, which is learning, so training through research. So there is a specific research objective, which should be as multidisciplinary as possible, and you integrate on that, you have a job on board, you are evaluated for what you do. So that's our perspective. Thank you.
Okay. As we are the less gender balanced panel of the three, I would invite questions from our female colleagues as well. But please, go ahead, Richard, just to prepare for the next one.
Thank you. Yes, I'm Richard Sampere from CNRS and Ocean Science Institute in Aix-Marseille University. Just I would like to share information with you. We got some funding recently for a project for education for virtual reality and telescience. So we are going to develop for education some new project for 3D description of the oceanic circulation or some biological species, for instance, and also for marine archaeology. So I think it's a good tool, not only for students, but also for interdisciplinary education. For instance, we are probably aiming to show the oceanic circulation to a student from the Faculty of Law, for instance, we are interested by ocean stuff, and so I think it will be a good tool in the future, not only for students but also for researchers, because as you know, telescience, for instance, will be certainly an important tool for research in the near future. So we have to also to educate students by using these tools in the future. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing this, Richard. More questions? Don't feel shy now. I know you have Okay, I have one question, if nobody, I use my prerogative as a, so clearly we see that the public participation in making public policy sometimes works less. And so I wonder what, and it's a question for all of us really, how can universities promote or contribute this public participation in decision making, either by training people at large? We discuss citizen science, but there are citizen assemblies. There are many ways in which we as academics can contribute to the public debate. And so should this type of networks have a specific role in pushing this type of more policy-oriented agenda? Anyone wants to? Frank?
I can try. Yes. What is so that is called the quadruple helix by European Community. Also, when you gather the four parts of the society, and what is always very complex. So I was in a citizen assembly in the University of Birmingham last year. So that's very powerful. But the main driver of this was that was a long process, and there was an education part in this long process. That means that all of people were educated to the topics that was included in the question. And without this education, so this is first part of education, this acculturation, it's very complex to discuss with people and to find the good question and to answer the good question and to share. So that's always very complex to define what is needed in terms of education, and how it is mandatory for sharing and for asking the good question and for after answering to this good question.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's clearly one of the challenges we have as universities. Oh, I see a question here. So,
Eric, there's just one question on this side.
Okay.
That will be the last question. Sorry. Please.
Sorry. Hello, I'm Felipe Artigas. I'm from Chile, but I'm working in northern France in University of Littoral. I have just a comment about the subject, but also the subject of the previous roundtable. I mean, I think we also should probably communicate about how science works, because we are now facing in many countries in northern and southern hemisphere, but we always face that because this is not new. Well, all this misinformation, disinformation, and when we do transdisciplinary work and when we do also outreach and education, we sometimes find out that even among scientists, when you have, for example, a natural science project and then you invite a social science colleague, and then, so everybody says, oh, he or she is the expert, so we are going to listen to what she or he is saying, and this is the truth. But no, it is not the truth. And this is something that probably we are forgetting, that we need to spread ocean science. Okay, ocean, but also science. What it is science, and science is not the truth, and the truth of today is with a mistake in tomorrow, and also probably one way could be to get back to more epistemology in all the programs. How did we get to what we know, what we think we know now, and how are we going to make the next steps to knowing better, to knowing more, or to knowing something differently? And also to benefit that science is also a matter of diversity of point of view. And so we can teach, we are teaching, all of us in ocean sciences, we are teaching diversity, we are teaching also tolerance, because anybody can say that we have the truth, because no, I can demonstrate that you are wrong.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this really important point. We're talking about science education, and that starts from the schools, and I think universities and all our research institutions have a role in helping teachers in the classroom, but also institutions to learn about, as you say, why do we know, and how do we know what do we know, and how it's different. Maybe one last question. I'm negotiating with Patrick. You had a question? Can you give the microphone?
So very short question and very short answer.
Yes.
Okay, it's actually, to add to that, in South Africa we do the science policy quite well, and it's because we are involved at a provincial and a national level on different committees within the government departments. And I think as universities and research institutions, so I'm the director of the Institute for Coastal and Marine Research at Nelson Mandela University, we make sure that we participate in those things, so that way we get to build the relationships with the government officials, the policymakers, and we add to policy briefs, but we also then help with the education of the government officials as well, with workshops and short learning programs. So it's just the last question I wanted to add to.
Thank you very much. Does it bring any comment? I think it really joins up what we're all saying. So on this, I would like to thank again our panelists and all of you for this great discussion. So.
Thank you, Eric, and thank you all panelists, and I will transition to the next topic. So-called declaration. Sorry, as usual. So maybe I will take a minute, because this is very important. I'm not from the university system, but you make me very enthusiastic after what I've heard. So thank you for that, and continue about that. with people from 4 to 2 continents for each table. So spread around the world. We had numerous questions, and we will have others during the buffet. So it means that we have something to do together. You have the desire to work together, but you also have the desire to mark the role of the university in improving the relationship between human and the ocean. It's very important. I heard that you have also the desire to have some mutual engagement from universities and society or stakeholders. This is also important. I think what you have also is to make science this peace tool to be made actionable for decisions at various scales. You told that. You have also the need for advocating some founding mechanism to work together. Well, the forum is a start. I think in the conclusions, this will be provided as a very strong start. So why not to tell it, not only for us, but for all stakeholders? And this is the goal of the declaration. So I'll give the floor to Pascal Olivar and to Dr. Gerardo Jimenez Porras from the University National of Costa Rica. Please.
Good morning, everyone. I'm very pleased to be here to read and commit in this declaration. It starts. Founding Declaration of Marine Universities, International Forum of Marine Universities, Nice, June 7, 2025. We, the marine universities from across all continents and gathering Nice on June 7, 2025, for the inaugural International Forum of Marine Universities held as part of the third United Nations Ocean Conference, UNOC 3, affirm our shared commitment to the preservation and sustainable stewardship of the ocean. Ocean, a major challenge for the future. The ocean is essential for climate regulation, biodiversity, ensuring food security, and safeguarding human health. It is also at the heart of numerous environmental, economic, and societal challenges. In this context, universities have the responsibility to educate and empower future generations and produce the knowledge and action necessary for the sustainable use and governance of the ocean.
Please. Our common findings are: the study of the ocean requires an interdisciplinarity approach encompassing natural, human, and social sciences. The current structures of universities often isolate this subject, making interdisciplinary difficult to implement. Moreover, we underline that training at sea is essential but costly and unequally accessible across institutions and regions. Secondly, we observe that blue economy is rapidly expanding, generating a growing demand for specialized skills. Universities should adapt their plans to better meet the needs of business, institutions, and civil society actors. There is a lack of structured dialogue between university and stakeholders in the marine sector. Finally, Marine University observes that even if ocean sciences are a global issue, access to education and resources remains unequal. Awareness of ocean issues should start as early as primary school and intensify throughout the educational journeys. University education must include curricula adapted to both local context and global challenges. Ocean education must be available for communities and people outside formal education systems.
Recommendations. 1. Developing an interdisciplinary approach to ocean sciences. That includes integrate interdisciplinary into academic programs from the undergraduate level, promote inter-university collaborations to pool resources and develop specialized training programs, establish training at the sea programs accessible to a greater number of students, integrate rapidly evolving technological advances in the design of marine training programs, for example, artificial intelligence and genomics. 2. Strengthening dialogue between universities and blue economy stakeholders, which includes create exchange platforms between universities, business, and institutions to align a significant proportion of academic training with industry needs. Encourage businesses and government to fund fundamental research projects in ocean sciences. Develop continuous professional training programs to support the evolving maritime professions in the context of a planet with limited resources and the need for transformative changes.
As a third recommendation, we call for the development and the promotion of literacy for ocean empowerment for all. A key issue is to increase ocean education, public awareness, public participation, and public access to information through formal, informal, and non-formal education, lifelong learning, including citizen science. We also need to foster and ensure equal access to knowledge and public participation for informed ocean action and public policy. And finally, we call for increased coordination efforts with formal education to promote ocean science careers and the development of common competencies in future students. Our last recommendation is to structure an international network of marine universities. This network will promote academic exchanges and the mobility of students and faculty between institutions, in particular from and within the Global South. It will also encourage the establishment of national and regional networks of marine universities to facilitate cooperation and resource sharing. This international network of marine universities should meet regularly at each UNOC to ensure commitment follow-up.
Our ambitions for UNOC 4 in 2028, in cooperation with the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission, IOC, of UNESCO, and regional academic networks, we commit to achieve the following objectives and to review our progress at the next forum in 2028. 1. Establish shared training at the sea programs at the regional level and connect with existing networks to facilitate access to infrastructure and equipment for students and research from various universities. 2. Create an international observatory for ocean science education in partnership with the IOC to map and harmonize academic curriculum and promote interdisciplinarity. 3. Launch a regional network of university incubators dedicated to the blue economy, fostering innovation and maritime entrepreneurship in collaboration with economic and institutional stakeholders. We also call on each maritime region to structure its own initiative to address the specific needs of its local ecosystems while contributing to global effort for a sustainable ocean.
In that way, we, marine universities, reaffirm our commitment to strengthening international academic cooperation, promoting interdisciplinary education, and developing a structured dialogue with blue economy stakeholders. We call for concerted action to make ocean education a fundamental pillar of sustainable development and marine conservation. We thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for this reading of the declaration. Of course, I will invite you to read carefully the declaration and finally sign it. So in the days and weeks that will come, please do this work so that our network of international universities for the marine sciences will take life and will work together. So, would you like to ask a follow-up question? So this will be a very short question and last question. We didn't foresee that, but please do so. Yeah, François, microphone, please. So this is real time.
Thank you. I would like, first of all, to thank Mr. Patrick Vincent and the organizing committee for inviting me. I am glad and honored to participate to such initiative. I would like to announce that the president of University, Mohammed V University in Morocco, gave his agreement to integrate our university in the network of maritime university. He will send you, I sent all the documents, and he will send you the file. I would like also to announce, to share with you some practices we developed in Mohammed V University, an applied bachelor with interdisciplinary program between 1998 and 2005, and also applied master during the 2000 and 2005 on integrated coastal zone and marine zone management. But the important result of this training program was the possibility for our students to find job in many areas, in private and in public department. And thank you.
Many thanks for this good news, and please follow this example. So to close our meeting, unfortunately, Philippe Baptiste, the Minister of Research and Education for France, couldn't be with us because of other obligations. So I will give the floor to Laurent Counillon, who is Vice President of Research of the University Côte d'Azur.
Thank you so much. So I think I'm the last person between this moment and the cocktail where we'll have discussion. So I'll try to be short. First, it's really a great privilege and honor to be there. So I would really like to thank everybody, all the panelists, all the organizers, with a special thought to the city as well of Nice and the mayor of Nice representative who landed us this beautiful place to have this special occasion, and really I'm really grateful for that. I think we all are. I also thank all the colleagues who really made a great job in the panels. There were very interesting discussions. And I would like to give a few of reflections on my own, on what I heard this morning. And I was not trained as a scientist, but as a physical chemist and then biochemist. And one of the important quotes that I think came from one famous Nobel Prize in physics, Richard Feynman, was that nature cannot be fooled. And when we collectively, as humankind, change very fundamental parameters in the seas and oceans like pH, like temperature, things are going to happen, are going to change. We all know that, and we witness that. And as biologists, when we kind of intervene in all, I would say, the biological networks that exist in signals, trophic chains, and so on, we know that the effects are important. So in this respect, knowledge of what happens, and I think there were many discussions on that this morning, is extremely important to document that. But also, if we want to make that, all these discussions we had about blue economy and how industry goes in that, is not a dream, but is something that can be really built on solid science. Otherwise, it will never work. This is, I think, particularly important because we are at a period where we see that in several countries, politicians are kind of confusing, deliberately or not, opinion with science, and start to kind of obliterate research on environment, on oceans, on all these notions, and maybe even put that as something that can be unlawful. So we really, as universities, I think, our president told that this morning, but we have this huge responsibility to stand in that, to produce science, to educate the next generations, and also to kind of communicate and to educate all the stakeholders in the field. That goes from people all the people who can take decisions and have impact actually. And for that we have huge, I would say, assets. Science has never been so powerful. This can be paradoxical. Science is really questioned by all many people, opinions, social networks, and so on. But it had never had such power of resolution, I would say, from very microscopic stuff, from genomes, from molecules to, I would say, Earth observation, satellites, all kind of possible measurements. We have data, we have huge ways to gather them, to treat them. We know how to do that in our labs. We know how to transmit that. And more importantly, I think we know how to work at an international level. Science is international. We know how to communicate, to build those networks. And I think what is done here is quite emblematic of that. And really, it's our duty to produce that at the best level. So I'm quite really happy, and it was a pleasure, but it's much more than this. That we are here together to really officially launch this Marine Universities network that is super important, and also to hear about this common declaration and this commitment that is extremely a founding moment of what we all do, and that now we can gather and do together in this very important context. So we all know that planetary, we have a very narrow window to act. We have a huge responsibility as universities, and we must move on together very fast. And I think I will leave you on that, and I think that we're on an important path for this. Thank you very much, and I look forward to the discussions and all what we can do with this. Thanks.